What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Pass the Barb. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're new here, this is the number one outdoor podcast in the world. Like, I don't know, maybe like 67. Oh, that's for all the kids out there, 67 weeks running at this point in time. Sorry, Voight. I'm sure your kids are screaming right now. I apologize for that. Anyways, for all you listening, this is weird. So I'm solo right now, but don't worry. I'm not going to make you just listen to a solo podcast of me just rambling for an hour and a half. That would not be entertaining. So Sobi is gone already for Memorial Weekend, and our boy Ryan Pincala currently just got to Florida. He is doing his whole snapper escapades down there. So I know he's really pumped up about that. I just got back from weeks on the road, and just want to recap it with some of our friends. So like I said, if you're new here, normally I'm Adam Bartusek, and then Sam Sobi and Ryan Pincala are typically the other hosts, but they're absent. So instead, I've got a list of like 6 guests coming in tonight. This is going to be a rock star lineup. Going to be a really, really, really good episode, especially for all you walleye fans and just fishing fans in the upper Midwest in general. We're going to do a bunch of different conversations today, and they should be fun. But first of all, I'm going to bring in my fill-in host for the night, and that is our boy Boots. What's up, Boots?
What's up?
Yeah, long time listener, first time caller. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so for people that don't know, we'll give you a sec to introduce yourself. So Boots is he's a cameraman who works with me a ton. He does a ton of work for the Crappie Chronicles. He's been around for 2 years. He's helped Classic Bass out for the last 2 years, done a bunch of stuff. So Boots, tell the people, who are you? Kind of what have you been? Where are you at in life? What's been going on?
Oh God. I guess we could probably start with I just graduated.
Yeah, you did.
I walked at graduation.
You did.
That's new.
How was that? Is it still like 3 hours long?
Yeah, 2,000 people is what they said at the end of it.
Do you remember any other names?
Honestly, no.
Just tuned out the whole time?
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, like, it was convenient that I'm a big UFC fan. So, like, conveniently, the UFC fights were going on at the same time. So I just, like, zoned out and had my phone in my pocket the entire time and just tuned into that instead. So that may go by a little bit easier. But, it was 2,000 people walked across the stage while you guys were out fishing and having fun with the nice little frozen kitchen that these guys will see later on. But I wish I would have been there instead. Just went there to shake the hands and get the slip of paper and move on.
Yeah. Well, now graduated from college, and then the last few years you've been tagging along with the Chronicles and everything. Before we kind of bring in our next guest, do you want to tell people how you got the nickname Boots, or like, do you have another memory from the Chronicles that you want to talk about? Maybe.
I figured this was going to happen no matter what. But yeah, I guess it all started. I don't even remember what episode it was, but we went to a lake down in southern Minnesota, and it just previously rained, 2-3 inches?
Yeah, it rained a ton
that day.
Yeah,
it rained a ton, and all the lakes were underwater. The machines hated it, but we still went out and made a day of it. But I had these bunny boots that my grandpa actually gifted me from when he was drafted into Vietnam, and he was a paratrooper, so they had those release valves, and it worked great, and they kept me warm and everything. They were my go-to. And packing up for the day, I guess I forgot to pack those, and going down to a lake that has 2 to 3 inches of water on it, that's not quite ideal. But we got down there and getting ready, got my bibs on, everything like that. And the one thing I'm missing, which kind of becomes important is the boots, right? But luckily, being like a weekend tournament bass fisherman, I have my deck boots in the back of my car constantly. So luckily, I had those, except after every hour or so, they would have about 2 inches of water in the bottom of them.
Yeah, it turns out the stitching isn't seamed on those.
No, not ideal. So yeah, luckily we made it through the day. Feet got cold, but I went through it, and it was fine. We got back after a day and kind of moved on. And then finally come to Montana. We are packing up at your house. And first thing I do is I grab my boots out of my car and go, I got my boots this time. And made sure you knew of it. And I'm sure
And
you
I
were
did.
just like,
I acknowledged you had your boots.
yeah, we had boots in hand. And then I don't know if I got sidetracked by packing other stuff up or getting camera gear ready, but for whatever reason we got all the way to Montana or Wyoming, I guess, for that first stop.
Yeah, we were in northern Wyoming at the first one.
Yep, met up with the Coxes and Owen Wilcox, which was great meeting those guys again. And then finally we got settled in and sat down. And finally I asked, "Oh, do you have my boots? Like, did you pack them?" And he said, "Just go look in the truck." So I went and scoured the truck, scoured the ginormous enclosed trailer that you pulled behind like a parachute. And then after that, I realized they're sitting right next to my car, all the way back in central Minnesota. So not ideal. And I worked up the courage to go back inside and say, I forgot my boots.
Yep. That was it.
Yeah, and luckily Pink wasn't there yet, and he was going to be arriving in Billings later, I think, that week. And we had his spare boots just in case, luckily. So I wore those basically the entire trip until we got to Billings, and then we immediately ran into Shields at Billings and got new boots for me.
Yeah. And you got the nickname because we made fun of you for it for a while, but we still called you Luke.
Yeah.
And then you were Luke 2, because we had Luke 1. Luke Lowy. He works for Apple now. He was our first camera guy. But then you got the courage.
Luke 2, then Dose, and then I started chirping Waldo, and we went back and forth and ended up going, all right, boots, and then it stuck from there on out.
Yeah, you and Waldo were chirping one night. He had enough of it, and he said, "Okay, boots." And me and Griff immediately were like, "That's it." Like that's and it has stuck ever since. And we'll bring our next guest in here, but I think so owner of the Champions Tour, Classic Bass Champions Tour. We'll talk about that, but I think Dane would even attest. Dane, how many people on the Champions Tour out of 50 anglers do you think know Boots' actual first name?
2. And I can guarantee you that all of them can't pronounce his last name or even think that he has a last name.
Funny enough, I just had a phone call with our electrical company. We just moved into a new apartment, and I just got off the phone with them because they were way off on my last name, on the spelling for the bill, and I couldn't even pay it because it was based off of my last name to sign in.
Yeah.
So like I was at a complete roadblock, and instead of spelling Mehelich, Mehelich, they went Mahuch. Not even close.
That's not even like phonetically correct.
No. I don't understand how they got there.
I know the struggle, man. That's a hard one, but we are here to prove that you do have a last name, Boots.
You do.
And
you
it is Mehelich.
Yes.
Okay.
my dad and I always joked that during hockey lineups, like we would get called up at tournaments or like varsity games, and they would always like butcher our last names constantly. But always, whenever we went up to the iron range, spot on, Mihelich.
Yep. Mihelich,
And
yep.
even like there was times where we went down to Mankato for a game, and they would go, defenseman number 5, Luke, and then just move on to the next guy. They didn't even want to try. But honestly, I don't blame them at this point.
No,
not a problem. And also, I mean, Boots can add another accolade to his just overflowing resume at this point in time.
Star-studded lineup.
Star-studded lineup. We'll dive into the Mille Lacs event here and some Champions Tour Walleye next, but I mean, I got it. I was on the west side of Lake Mille Lacs with Newman. I just drove around Indian Point, surfed through 4 or 5 footers with him, going to a camera, going to a boat, taking some photos, go over, grab looters. We're moving them. I get a text, and all it says is first cameraman in the water with a check mark. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then Newman looks at me, he's like, dude, panic. We got a cameraman in the water. I'm like, it was Boots, dude. He's fine. He literally texted us that he was in the water. Like he's out. We're good. But Boots, what happened? You're the first cameraman to go overboard.
Yeah. Like you said, just adding to the resume. So the way we set up our media coverage is we'll stick with 2 guys for the first half. And we'll stay up until a certain time limit with 1 guy and then get picked up by our camera driver, whoever is there, and move on to the next. So I was in the boat with Charlie McGivern. Great guy, stick of an angler. But holy cow, was it bumpy on Mille Lacs. And I came to get picked up, and the camera boat driver drops his trolling motor and immediately comes in. But I don't think he realized how hot he was coming in, and he was about to ram straight into Charlie's back, like outboard motor. And it would have been a disaster. So I tried to like stop it and lean out of the back. And then as soon as I'm about to grab that Ultrex, he hits the gas on it, moves to the side, and I just tumble in. And
it's almost like he had it.
Yeah, right. I don't know if he just had it out for me, maybe, or what it was, but yeah, it was a disaster. I felt terrible for holding Charlie up because I know he was tracking down fish. But he was a nice enough guy to come.
Boots is just trailing behind the boat as Charlie's on 10 scoping walleyes, just leaving him flailing in the water, camera in the air.
Well, luckily, like I tumbled in, but as soon as like I felt like myself going and my foot slip out from under me, I raised my camera up just so then like Bart knows camera prices. Like camera prices are
It was
huge.
not a cheap camera.
No.
Nor
so I
was the
raised it
lens.
up. Yes. So I raised it up out of instinct and just like tumble in, but I think like my bibs must have caught some air on the way through.
Or the
so that
backpack
I just
you
like
were wearing.
Yeah, maybe. Thank God that was waterproof, by the way.
Yeah.
And I only went about like stomach deep and then like bobbed back up, but I was close enough to grab his ladder on the back. So I just like heaved myself up and everybody was freaking out, rightfully so. I'm like, I'm fine, like I'll be okay. Just get me onto his boat and let's get out of here so Charlie can keep fishing. Because like I don't know if the other cameramen do this too, but the worst thing for me, having been around Champs Tour and been around like tournament fishing for a while now, is like I don't want me being the cameraman to hold this guy up from moving spot to spot and wasting time and everything like that. So I always have my life vest on, no matter what. So that's just snappy and quick, and there's no issues.
Yeah, but did that life vest go off when you went
No.
fully submerged?
No. Somehow. I still don't understand why, because I checked and it's
He's
still
wearing an
green.
automatic life vest and it didn't go off.
Well, thinking of it now, like I don't know if the backpack kind of like stopped the amount of water from.
Oh, it could have been because you had
overflowing
the
it, maybe.
straps over. Yeah, you had the backpack straps over that. That could have been it.
Right. And that's kind of my thinking, because it was still green and it wasn't expired or anything. So you would think that it would have gone off.
We could
But
test it.
I have no idea. Yeah. And somehow the drive there from Nitty's to Indian Point, which is a long, long ways, where it was, I think it took us 30 minutes to get from point A to point B. Like I got more wet on the drive there than going into the water. Amazingly.
That's incredible. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, for everybody. Yeah, Boots broke the curse. Boots fell in. So we've never had someone
Somebody
fall
had to
in.
do it first.
He did it. Yeah, someone had to do it first.
You will be the last person to fall in.
Yeah.
I mean, you better knock on wood.
Sure hope so.
Yeah. I almost just want to test that life jacket on you and pull the ripcord and just make sure that it's charged next time.
We could
Boots,
give
you
you
have to wear it deployed.
I say send-off ceremony for Big Stone is we look at the whole field and say we didn't get the full satisfaction of Boots falling in because he didn't come back with a fully inflated vest, and we just push him off the dock with it on, and then it blows up, and we're like, all right, we're good now.
Yeah.
I think it would only be fair if we did that after Big Stone or at the media day beforehand.
Sure, we could do that. We can.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll make sure to bring swim trunks and everything.
Yeah, bring in an extra cartridge.
Yeah. I do have a spare just in case, actually.
Perfect. All right. So, Dane, we were talking about, obviously, the Champions Tour Mille Lacs event. You're the owner of the Champions Tour. I guess for people who are here, I mean, there's a bunch of people here who are walleye fans and everything listening, who just kind of heard about the event, or people who listen to Pass the Barb, whatever it is. What's the Champions Tour? What was going on this weekend? Like, fill me in a little bit, catch me up, and we'll talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what is the Champions Tour? It's quickly becoming, one of the more innovative tournament fishing trails that we have in the country. It's a catch, weigh, release format with high school anglers as marshals. Every angler is fishing independently, not as a team, and we have incredible media coverage. That's what it's known for. Thanks to you guys. And, as it continues to grow, we're seeing it dip into multi-species, and it's not just targeting largemouth and smallmouth, but now, we've introduced a little taste into the walleye world. So we're getting a good feel, a good temperature of what the general public wants to see. And I think our social media channels have revealed that people are excited to see the walleye side of things, as well as your content that you're creating.
Yeah, I mean, just on that side, yeah, we like low-key shattered viewership records on Tuesday, which is super cool. People obviously want to see walleyes. So I guess, obviously, Dane, Champions Tour has been a thing for last, 7 or 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, catch, weigh, release format for bass. Every fish counts over 1 pound, except for when we were on Okoboji. That was 2 pounds. That was fun. But
yeah, we're known to throw curveballs in the mix. We've lake splits and things like that too, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
Yeah, for sure. So then heading into, I guess, this season, why walleye? Like, what was your thought? Like, what did you kind of wanted to do, and changes you wanted to do? Because last year with the Champions Tour, your first year taking over for Scott, you just went, okay, let's see how this goes, status quo. and then we'll kind of start attacking it. Let me know.
Kind of, right? The Champions Tour already had a very well-known platform that was growing, and I just felt that we needed to expand and build off of the already established platform. So most of the events ran status quo. We had our 67 boats, our field that was the same size the year prior. But I wanted to grow the field size without having more anglers in each event. So by creating a qualification circuit, that was something new that we introduced last year. And now this year with 2 events, we're able to entertain 100 anglers, a professional field of 50 and a qualification field of 50 to get more people involved with the format. Diversifying the species and building into the walleye world then was just a step further. We see that there's a large draw or attraction in the youth of fishing as a whole. But walleye fishing really lacks that youth involvement and structure that is so prevalent on the largemouth and smallmouth side of things. So by reaching out and trying to touch a larger audience, we're able to establish, larger viewership, greater value to our sponsors, and also provide a entertainment and a service education back to the younger anglers. And that's really the ultimate goal of the Champions Tour.
Yeah, and so you're talking about youth pretty heavily and everything, and
Yeah,
there's probably a bunch of people here of just learning about the Champions Tour. Why is youth so important on the Champions Tour? Because we have a very integral part of our format that nobody in the country has.
Yeah, and so there's really 4 or 5 variables that are crucial to every event that we host, right? The youth of the sport are our boat officials. Between the ages of 13 and 18, we rely on these young anglers to participate in each event, and every boat as an official. They take the picture of the fish, they weigh the fish, they record the fish within our real live well app. So without the youth, we don't have the boat officials. I mean, we could as adults reach out and ask for older individuals, but by mentoring the youth of the sport in each event, we're able to create a sustainable future of like-minded anglers that understand the discipline and the characteristics of what a professional angler should look like. And that just sets our future up really strong for well-known and well-respected individuals.
Yeah. So then, when you say boat official, what is their responsibility? What are they doing every event? They're extremely integral to the Champions Tour.
Yeah, the boat official in each event, they show up in the morning, they sit through our process, they learn how to do the catch, weigh, release method, and they're implementing infractions or penalties on the anglers throughout the day. But more importantly, they're taking pictures of the fish as they come in, uploading them to the app so the rest of the world can watch the live leaderboard. And they're there to really watch over and learn and monitor and officiate the entire angler's performance through every event, including even the Pro-Am, which we can touch on a little bit later too.
Yeah, for sure. And people, there's probably some people listening that are like, oh, how does a high school angler monitor adult or whatever? And it's like, dude, they take it serious, man. They call you out. Yeah.
Every one of these anglers is anxiously awaiting a registration period. The majority of them have been doing this boat marshaling position for more than 2 years. They're all serious tournament anglers themselves within other organizations, such as the SATT or SAO or BASS. And so when they hop into the boat, most of them are very well educated in the tournament industry already, very familiar with fishing as a whole, and they just want to learn more. So they're serious anglers, and every tournament, I think we as media personnel and organizers of the sport are surprised by how exciting it was, how happy they were, to come off the water and to have learned as much as they have. I mean, the majority of them have smiles ear to ear, and just are so excited for the next event. How can I be a bigger part of it? how can I compete? What are my opportunities? And that's what leads us into growing, our trail and our series.
Yeah. And I mean, they're sick. They're sick for it because they come into halftime and they came in from like 4 or 5 footers on the ride out on Mille Lacs, and they came into halftime and they were like, that was awesome. And you're like, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, safety is our number one priority. So we got to make sure that that's implemented and that we have wind, speeds and blocks set in place so we know exactly when to pull the cord and when to move things. So in the morning, we felt safe to let them out. Yes, there were some big rogue waves every now and then, but everyone was in a very large vessel and we all felt very confident and everyone was, spoke with, and we felt comfortable moving forward. But we did move the midday break across the lake. So at least we didn't put them through too much rough water. It was just the one bumpy 30-minute ride out to their starting spot and then to get home safe.
Yeah. And I mean, to add on to that, Dane, I would say too, like, we both talk with Paul a ton. He's a tournament director for the Champions Tour, Paul Newman. People don't know. Longtime tournament angler, Minnesota legend, has won a lot of bass tournaments. But he takes the weather stuff and everything with the high schoolers extremely seriously. I ride in a boat with him all day, and like he thinks about it all the time, and he will like get sick about it if he makes a bad decision because he knows how many kids are kind of in his decision. And I think with Mille Lacs, if anybody was like, oh, why'd they go or whatever, it was kind of a discussion of, they're big, but they're consistent. It's not supposed to gust. And this is kind of Mille Lacs.
It was a sustained 13-mile-an-hour wind is fairly normal.
Yeah. And so you look at that and we posted that video today of Gray and Minky's ride out. And like, that's part of the learning process for these kids. And that's why they enjoy it, is like, you don't learn to drive a boat if you just ride around when it's glass calm.
Yeah.
And they got to see like, hey, this, it's not always beautiful. So this is how we get here. This is how we manage our time. And obviously, with stuff like that, safety is very important and the risk goes up a little bit, but a lot of these guys are extremely experienced. They were in 20 to 22 foot giant walleye boats or 18 to 19 foot tillers. They're in boats. They're walleye guys. They were made for it. And the guys who showed up in bass boats are guys who are used to driving and stuff like that. So it was cool to see. Like everybody was honestly like in a great mood. So that was a very cool thing to see. But kind of with that walleye event, Dane, we're going to talk with a couple of the top finishers in it here. So we'll talk about the fishing, but like from an organizational standpoint, I would say, what are some things that maybe surprise you about the walleye side of things or their anglers, with the bass side? Like they're two very different industries and it's like, hey, this is kind of our first event going at this. Was there anything that like, really impressed you or caught you off guard, or what I'm saying? Kind of.
Yeah. I think just with how receptive they were to the format. I mean, we threw a lot of new things at just the anglers that were there for that first event. Throwing a lake split at them, throwing the app use at them, throwing a lot of new challenges. I was very impressed to see how well received all the information was and understanding, yep, there's a pro subscription to the Real Live Well app. Yep, we're going to pay the $9.99 to be a part of it. No questions asked. This is being ran very well. And then to see how the pre-tournament meeting progressed, the morning progressed, the midday, like I was assuming there would be a few more people that were not as willing to work with it. Like everyone was just on the same page. Even leading up to the tournament, I didn't realize how much everybody wanted to see this format kind of unwrap itself into the industry. And I thought
was also shocked by the
arguments that they were just much more willing to do something new. That they're not used to any of what we laid out for them. And it was one of the smoothest events I had ever run. That's impressive. That's very impressive.
Yeah, and they're all new people. And like with that is like,
right.
we got like no phone calls during the day of like, is this a rule infraction? Did I plug this in wrong? This isn't working. Like, they just did it and figured it out.
You know,
it was awesome.
Well, Matt Voigt and I sat down and we had a good process, and we broke everyone into downloading the app and signing in with the PIN numbers, and we were very detailed with all of the boat officials. I mean, there were 6 new boat officials that had never done it before, you know, and we didn't have a single phone call the first half of the day. And in the second half, the only phone call I had was in regards to a photo that they didn't feel was appropriate to use because it wasn't a fish, and the boat official had accidentally erased the photo, which was a clear pass, and the tabulations at the end of the day were minimal edits. Everything from the paper and the handwriting. That surprised me. I was anticipating a lot more of a ripple, more curveballs from a standpoint and from a marshal standpoint. But all I got was thank yous and gracious behavior and understanding and wanting more, and like us leaving them with, hey, you guys are doing more events, right? This isn't just a one-time thing. And now, that's the surprising aftermath of doing something you've never done before. How do people digest it? And I think it's pretty obvious what they want.
Yeah, we'll dive into like some more events maybe coming up or plans in the future. But I will say, just, I love all the walleye guys. I had a blast. But my one critique I will say is that we need to learn at the pre-tournament meeting next time, Dane, is walleye guys love to dump their boat in like 5 minutes before blast off. Like, and it seems like it's just a thing. Like, that's what they do. And I was
amazed by that too.
I couldn't believe it. And like, they got in and out, but I was like, it was just crazy.
Well, bass guys are there 2 hours early, and Mille Lacs has a curfew, if you will, where you can't dump in early. So there is a little bit of a time restriction there, but they're just kind of nonchalant, like, yep, this is going to happen. We're going to go fishing, and there's no rush. And, the stage was set up so perfectly there at Nitty's Hunters Point Resort, where it was close enough to everything, and everybody knew where everybody was. And, it just felt very much like a big family is a great way to put it. They're all like very in tune.
Yeah. So then, speaking of that, and then we'll kind of move on and bring Alan in to chat a bit. But obviously everybody saw the event. Everything went swimmingly, really well afterwards. Immediately when's the next one? What are we doing next? What's going next? So I'm not pinning you down and saying when's the next one or what are we doing exactly or whatever, but kind of maybe let people know, like, kind of what are future plans. What do you see coming from this? Like, you know what I mean? It was kind of a trial.
It's very important to know what Paul and I are thinking in terms of our goal and our vision. And that's one of the first things I hit with all of the anglers there at the pre-tournament meeting. We have every intention of creating this format furthermore and building upon it and creating a series of events. We have to test the waters and make sure our rules are set in place and that we can continue to uphold the standard of what the Champions Tour is, and brand it on a walleye side as well. So we have every intention of creating more events, and he has every intention and has spoke with me that his goal is to continue building on that and putting more time into it as he steps away from farming and doing his thing. We're going to have another team, a group of guys, unless we all continue to do the same thing. It'll be a format that will grow to a national level again, I'm sure. National recognition at least, but a Midwest circuit that provides the best value we can possibly offer. And the only thing that's going to hold us back is, the cooperation and sharing of the social media from the anglers. If they want it more and they build upon it and they want to share it more and it gets more and more views, we'll continue to feed them more and more events. And our sponsors are going to reap the benefit of that, and so will the communities around them.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that said very well. I mean, I had a ball doing it. I would love to keep doing more stuff, and It was fun to shoot a bunch of media for guys who were like extremely appreciative of it, and you could feel it, you know. Not saying that the bass guys aren't when I say that, but like you could just tell the thirst was there, you know, and like kind of quenching it a bit. It was pretty cool.
It kills me that
too.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just think too, like we came into it and we didn't really know what to expect out of it too. Because I think there's so much of a variety of those guys between the traditional, like trolling or die. Like I don't do anything but that. But also like you got those like younger guys that are willing to embrace technology, if that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think coming into it, we on the media side didn't really know what to expect, but we always knew that there was a need for more coverage for the walleye tournaments. Would you agree, Bart?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely agree. But yeah, then Dan, I guess last thing for you, and then we're gonna chat with Alan here. Like I said, I'm not putting you on it, but should people keep their eye out, you think, for another event maybe this year or not?
I would, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and say that it's a guaranteed 100% thing, but with how well it was received and the numbers, the hundreds of thousands of views and impressions on just one social media outlet, it's a pretty strong likelihood that we'll have another event here later this year. This was a great event to be able to, you know, the silver lining is we didn't have 100 boats and trying all of this new technology in the wind. And, you know, we had a strong presence of good anglers. We got a good taste for it. We have a great process. We even had some new team members involved. Now I feel like, yeah, we can pump this up. And if we land on a new lake for these anglers with a creative twist, and later in the fall, you could almost put money on the fact that there'll be something coming down the road.
Perfect. I love it. Love it, Dan. Well, that was awesome. We'll let you go and we'll keep moving along here. But yeah, it was a fun Tuesday on Mille Lacs. Appreciate
being on the #1 outdoor podcast in the world, Bart.
Hell yeah, dude. You know where you are.
I appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your night.
Buddy. Yeah, we will. All right. So that was Dane Vocelka, owner of the Champions Tour. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming down from him. I know Boots and I are excited to shoot more walleyes. His plan is to probably stay more dry next time.
That's the hope, at least.
And so our next guy we're having on here. So first of all, I'll just bring him in right now. So this is Alan Nistler. Al, does everyone call you Al, or do I call you Alan?
They call me Al, Nistler. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Depends on who it is, really.
Yeah, we met like literally 2 days ago. So
yep.
still
I've met you before. I've seen you at the classic bass tournaments and stuff, but
okay.
Or the Minnetonka one, the Blackfish.
Oh yeah.
I've talked to you down there before, but
yeah. Okay. Well, actually, in terms of the tournaments and everything.
Yep.
But what I'm saying too is film people. Like I kind of told Boots. So we had 2 firsts ever at this event. #1 first was Cameraman fell in. The other first occurrence was that I have filmed the Champions Tour for 6 years. This is heading into my 7th year, and I have never missed a winner. And in this one we did. And it was not that I didn't want to go to Al. I called Al and I was like, "Where are you?" And we were like, "Oh no, that is not good." That's basically how the conversation went, right, Al?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. And we had just dumped Boots in a little bit earlier, and we were like, "Oh my God, like I don't know if we can get a boat. Like I know I can drive a bass boat to him right now, but I don't know if I can actually get a camera guy in." And then what boat are you running to?
I got a 620 tiller.
Okay.
Ranger.
Yeah, and you had to tiller, and we were just like, okay, then I'll probably have to keep a camera boat out there to bring the guy in, because I don't think we can roll in 3 deep heading into hunters at the end of the day.
That would have probably worked, but getting to the boat would have been the hard part. I could have got us in there just fine because I was going with them. Because I was right out front at that time, but like I say, getting into the boat, when you guys called, I told the Marshall kid, and I was like, I don't know. I go, if they show up, we'll see what they do. Otherwise, you guys can just sit in your boat and watch. But I don't know.
Yeah,
it was pretty wicked over there.
It was definitely hard switching from boat to boat, because at one
Oh.
point we went and needed to switch in that second half too, and Dane came to pick me up, and I think there's photos on the Facebook too of it, where he would get right next to us, perfect amount of like waves and everything, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere his bow would raise about 2 feet.
Yep.
And it just made it impossible to jump in.
Yeah,
That's my
it
axe.
was insane out there. But okay, so anyways, we'll dive into this whole thing because I want to kind of hear how your whole day went down, since didn't really get to film it or anything. But okay, so heading into this, tournament gets announced on Lake Mille Lacs, Champions Tour.
Yep.
And everything. Like, what were your thoughts? Because this is brand new for the walleye world and everything. Kind of, what were your thoughts heading into it? I mean, straight up, like, this isn't a Champions Tour podcast. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I honestly, as soon as I seen it, I was stoked. I was like, this is going to be just great, because typically you can catch a lot of numbers out there depending on the day. And when I seen this, I was like, this is going to be just an absolute dogfight. And yeah, I was happy for it. And I think I might have even been one of the first guys to sign up for it, because I was texting Dane about it, like, what time is it going to go on sale? And I took time off, not off work, but I stepped out as soon as it went up and signed up for it. And I couldn't have been more happy with it. And I just, all spring coming into this, I was like, boy, this is just going to be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, no, I was super excited for it as well. I guess, I mean, the walleye world and crowd more than I do. Obviously, it was trying to look for like 60 boats and stuff and everything.
Yep.
I guess from your view, was there? I mean, I think we were really happy with the 24 to 30. Like, that was kind of even the goal heading into it, was like, let's just get what we got in the first Champions Tour bass event. But like,
yep.
I guess speaking to maybe some of the people who are doubtful or didn't sign up or whatever the excuses were, because they're all valid. This is a brand new thing.
Yep.
Kind of, what did you hear that it might have been?
So I heard that guys were complaining about the boater safety part of it, but I did it 3 years ago because I jumped into NWT down when it came to Red Wing, and I was reading the rules. It seemed like you needed it. I didn't want to get DQ'd for something dumb, so I just went and got it. And now looking at the new Minnesota regs, you need it anyways eventually. And yeah, so honestly, it took me less than an hour to do it. I think it's like $30. You might as well just do it. And for the guys that didn't want to do it, it's kind of just being lazy, if you ask me. Because there was,
Well,
it really was. There was
too.
right, 100%. It's not that big a deal.
Okay,
but there
cool.
was that, and then there was just, I think, other worries about just how's it going to go. And it's the new thing. I mean, even during the MTT on Saturday, we were running the Chaos app versus the Fish Donkey app. Well, I had questions about it because I've never used it. I didn't go to Big Stone. And then there was a handful of guys also that were worried about how it was going to go, and they weren't able to log in, and they were having issues with all that. But at the end of the day, there was zero issues. There was one mass text sent out by the tournament director, as we had to have our our left hand away from the gill plate with the tail pinched. And if you were in the gill plate with your pinky finger at all, the fish didn't count. And that's just for people trying to stretch fish or whatever could happen. But it hasn't been an issue, but it's just another precaution. So it's just a new thing. I think it's just people were nervous about it too.
Yeah. So like, based on the walleye tournament world right now, like what are the formats that are out there? Because obviously we talked with Dane. This is catch, weigh, release, completely different.
Yep.
Been done in bass a little bit, but like, what are people used to fishing in walleye right now?
5 fish and grab the 5 biggest you can if it's catch, photo, release. There's a few still on the Mississippi in the spring.
Not to cut you off, but when you say catch, photo, release, what do you mean? For people who don't know what you mean.
Yeah, so you'll land the fish, and then you'll take whether it's an AIM or an MTT or a league that does it, they'll give you, we all go off the judge board. It's the old school ruler. It's been a staple in the walleye world for years. They'll give us that board. We'll lay the fish on it. Your partner will hold on to it, pinch the tail, and then say, I'll take the photo of it and make sure it's good. Sometimes you take 2 or 3, just if the sun angle or shadows, and then take a hero shot of it and then let the fish go. And then on the app, before I send it away, kind of like what the marshals were doing, I would type in the length of it and then send it in, and then they would check it, make sure it's legit, and then add it to your live well for the day. And then, that's pretty much kind of like what the marshals were doing, but that's how we do it with the 5 fish limit. And then it just automatically calls for you as the day goes on.
And is so that's basically on lakes where, because of slot limits, you would not be able to keep 5, or you'd have to have overs and unders or stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that was one nice thing about that, because back in the day, Mille Lacs had a super tight slot at one time. It was like 14 to 16 at one point. We lost a lot of guys back then, but it was just hard to catch them, and people were getting fed up with it. So with the new catch measure or catch photo release, you can go anywhere you want in the state. Doesn't matter.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's that format, and then obviously there are other tournaments like, you have the Graha, you got the NWT, you got other big walleye tournaments around where you actually put them in a live well and then bring them in. That's basically the 2 different formats that are going on there, right?
Yep. And I don't know for sure, but I thought Graha actually switched over to catch photo release too.
Oh, did it? I could be
really?
wrong.
They might have. Someone could probably correct me on it, but I'm pretty sure they did. Because I know the Leech Lake one too. I think they did some new things with that too. And that's all catch photo release also.
Gotcha. So a lot of the walleye tournaments are basically going to catch photo release because of slot limits and stuff.
Yeah, and I kind of like it, honestly, because I don't have to worry about the fish dying all day. We just catch it, let it go, and we move on.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on with different formats in walleye. So that, heading into this Mille Lacs event, we'll talk a little bit more about fishing, I guess. You fished the MTTs over the weekend too.
Yep.
How was the lake fishing? What pattern, what was going on the lake pattern wise and everything? I know the weather has been just ridiculous up there for the last few weeks. But yeah, kind of what was going on heading into the Champions Tour of the MTTs this weekend?
So Friday, when I ran up, we got off work a little early, so I buzzed up there. I did a little pre-fishing Friday before the MTT. The weekend before, I was up there for opener when I was on the north end, so I fished the south end on Friday. And I noticed fish were kind of starting to pull off a little bit, showing up where they should start to get to. But for the MTT now, I'm looking for just 5 big ones. So I didn't need to find a whole school of fish. And I ended up running into the fish I wanted to see. So for the MTT, we fished those and fished all day for 10 bites. But we ended up in 3rd place with 36 pounds. First place, I think, was 38 something. So, it's a totally different format. So I was going to fish Sunday, but I decided not to so I could look for the Champs Tour fish. And I kind of did the same program, but looked for bigger schools. I basically lapped the lake twice between Sunday and Monday. And I found out the fish on the rocks were biting a little better for me. There wasn't as much food around because everything up by Garrison and stuff. There's just so much bait around up there. It's hard to get them to open their mouths, but it's just jig and minnow bite. Pretty simple, really.
Just like you fishing out in 7 to 15 feet, or what were you focusing on, a certain depth range or anything like that?
Kind of a little deeper, honestly. I was fishing anywhere from probably 17 at the shallowest to 28, as I was finding bigger fish out of ways, which, if you know, my average fish was a little better, and that helped me put up a bigger bag too. And when I got too shallow, I started catching smallmouth, so I tried to stay away from them. They're fun. I love them, but they weren't good to me on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's fine. I would have loved.
I know a lot of guys also caught a bunch of ginormous pike. Did you run into those at all?
No, I haven't caught a pike up there, and I honestly couldn't give you. It's been a long time. Probably since the old days when we go up to Garrison and troll opening night. It's been a long time. I caught a muskie on Monday.
Okay.
Little one, probably 32 inch or whatever, down by Isle. But
yeah, I just kept hearing guys pulling in like 36-inch, 40-inch pike all over the place that second half. I just thought it was crazy.
That probably the north end guys probably were doing that, because I don't think too many guys came over to the east side second half right away. A few guys filtered in right before we had to go in, but no,
Yeah.
I haven't caught a northern in a long time up there.
Okay, so then, like, kind of talking about that, heading into tournament day, so I had heard murmurs from guys that they thought it would take 100 to 140 pounds because the bite was, like, really good.
I thought going into it, if I had little better weather in the lake split, it didn't really bother me. The wind was a bigger factor because I had a lot more fish on the southwest side I wanted to get to. But once I got there, I caught one right away. And then I kept watching the clock, and I was like, I got to be to Garrison by 11. And I was looking at the waves and stuff, and I was like, I don't want to bust my boat up, but I also don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. And if I could have stayed there the full period and then just buzzed up there in 20 minutes, I feel like I would have done a lot better. Because I was really planning on, if I could run the water I had going, I figured it would have took over 100 for sure, easy.
Okay, gotcha.
Like well over 100. Like there would have been probably multiple guys with that, guaranteed.
Obviously, for the wind was a factor. It was blowing 13 to 17 out of the west, northwest. Kind of switched to mainly the northwest by the end of the day. But that makes it, even if you're a walleye guy, that makes it tough to fish in.
Yeah, especially now that we're casting at them. I think that's where it hurts a lot of guys. It might not, but it's definitely, it affects me. Sometimes you spend 5-6 throws at a fish, or you nail it the first shot. It's one of those deals. And then your boat's floating over them if you're going with the wind. It throws in so much more of a curveball to it than it used to. When we were just putting our tails of the wind and back trolling into them and just waiting for one to bite, it seemed easier at the time versus throwing at them, but I think just a little funner.
Yeah, I was gonna say I still didn't see anybody trolling on tournament day. So
I don't think you're gonna win doing that up there. Not with guys live scoping. Like I say, the spot I went to, opening of the first period of Champs Tour, I wasn't expecting to catch a ton of fish, but I was expecting to catch a bunch of. I wanted 10 fish the first period, but I was planning on them all being big ones. And then I was going to make up any ground, if not just add to it when I got over to the east side. So I was hoping to put up a big weight with less fish and then flip-flop that program once I got back over to the east side.
Well, I was going to say your day kind of flip-flopped because you came in at halftime and you only had 3 fish.
Yeah, I had 3 fish.
Yeah.
They were nice ones, but I only had 3. And I just kept telling my marshal that was with me, I was like, you got to trust me. I go, once we get to the other side, I know I can catch him in this stuff. The problem I had the first half is I felt like I was running out of time and I needed to get moving so I didn't get in trouble and not make it in on time. That was my biggest downfall with the first period.
Well, and it was kind of your first time. It was your first time in the format too. So you're trying to time out, like, I don't know how long it takes. Like, I don't know, like trying to settle in. And then all of a sudden you're hearing what people are catching. And then you're like, oh, I need to move, or like there's that whole mental side to it that's very different. And I'm sure, like, what was your experience like with that for the first time, hearing a live leaderboard of where people are at and what's going on?
It was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was awesome. I have 0 complaints about it. It was everyone I talked to at the other tournament anglers and me myself. It was absolutely. It was awesome. It was exhilarating, really. You didn't know which way to go. You're watching the clock. You got to be there at this time. Now you're falling behind because so-and-so's catching fish. You just lost 1 or 2. And now you're like, oh, man, what am I going to do? I need another bite. But then I started getting the whole survival mode into it the first period until I caught my second fish. And he's like, you're in second place, right behind Nitty. And I'm like, there's no way. And I go, what's the weights? And he told me, and I'm like, oh boy, they're not biting today. And then I got a little calmer after that. I was like, we're going to be okay. I figured I would have been, and low 20s. Like I didn't know if I was even going to be in it after the first half. I knew I could make up the ground, but I didn't know how good they were going to catch them.
Yeah, and when we got into halftime, and my experience talking to guys were, and like I'm a bass guy, not really a walleye guy, but basically everybody was saying like the amount of short strikes or fish not holding on to a bait in that first half till about probably 2:00, I think, was really high. That's what the talk was. They were like, I'm getting bit, but they're just not eating it.
Yeah, I had that a little bit. I probably honestly, I caught most of the fish that bit it, but I was using littler minnows than everybody else probably was. I was just using fatheads, nothing too crazy. But I did catch them on a rainbow. I got some on a shiner, but everything I did catch was right in the tip of the mouth, though. Very rarely did they have it any deeper.
Interesting. So that kind of was your deal, was smaller minnows more than.
Yeah, and I think most guys would go with the bigger minnow for that, but the smaller ones worked.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, then heading into the second half, like you kind of mentioned, I talked to, because at the time I think it was Blake, Chad, and Bob were in the top. And I talked to Nitty, and he was like, I'm going to be just on the north side, super easy to get to. So I was like, all right, I can find him. And then I talked to Chad, and he was like, you're not going to like my answer. And I was like, okay. And he went over to the east side. Yeah. And then Blake, who Boots rode out with, he did the same thing. And then you obviously went over there, and all of a sudden you were in second. And I called you and was like, where are you at? And you were like, the east side. And I talked to Boots. I'm like, what's it like over there? He's like, not good for a boat transfer.
No.
And I was like, oh, God. And then I called Chad. He's over there. And I'm like, okay, we got Chad and Alan duking it out right now. They're both on the side where we can't really move anyone. But Dane got over there, and he was able to grab Boots and head further north because I think Blake was basically in between you and Chad.
Yeah, I think I was the farthest guy to the south.
Yes, you were.
Other than even the bigger waves.
Yeah, you were the furthest to the south, whereas Chad was further north with Minky.
Yep.
And we could at least get Boots over to Chad because it was like, okay, the waves get a bit smaller up there, but down by you, we were like, this is a hope and a prayer. But anyways, tell us a little bit about how your second half went. Obviously, I was just super impressed by. Obviously, you guys are walleye guys. You're used to fishing in big water, big waves. But the amount of guys that in an every fish counts format where you have the north side that is littered with schools of fish, the couple of you that were like, whatever, and went to the east side rocks. I mean, you and Chad like lapped everybody basically in that second half.
Yeah, I just think they bite better. That's the one reason I went there. I fished the north end. I couldn't get them to go. And the other guys that were up there caught some fish, but they didn't catch them like we did. And right now it looks like there's a shiner spawn going on up there. So that doesn't help. They're full. They don't need to eat. I mean, like I say, Saturday we caught 10 fish, I mean, they don't need to open their mouths. But the east side, for some reason, they're biting a little better. And like I say, when we went over there, I stopped, I think, up where Chad and those guys were at. And I didn't see what I wanted to see. I was seeing smaller fish. I caught 2 shorts. And I knew I was already behind. And I just told the marshal, I go, we're going to have to get wet one more time. And we took off to the south and finally got there. And right away, we started putting on a clinic. And I go, I told you they were going to be here. And yeah, we started having fun after that. We were talking, and he's got the board out before the fish even got to the net. And it was super awesome. And then when he was telling me Chad was right on my tail or lapped me, that was, like I say, that was awesome. That was, even for the fans, like my parents and everyone else who was watching, they called me after. They were like, that was the most intense thing I've ever seen. So that was super awesome for the fans too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was stressful for a guy moving camera boats because I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, Chad or Alan, who do I don't really know either of the guys very well. So I can't really bet on like, who do I think's going to do this? And I was like, well, Chad's easier. We'll just go to him. And then all of a sudden you started taking off, and I mean, hand up, man. I'm glad you won, but I was sitting there. I was like, come on, Chad. Come on, Chad. I was like, come on, dude, you got to pull this out so we can film you. But no, it was cool. You guys were really going back and forth for a long time there until probably about like, I think the last 30 minutes, it seemed like you got on a pot of them and just kind of put the knife in it.
Yeah, I started seeing 2s and 3s, and they were staying, so I was able to catch one, process the fish, get back on it, and one of them would hang around. I'd catch that one too, or I'd turn around and go the other way with the waves again and pick up another one quick, and it's like another bite window opened up, because I kind of had a slow period for a little bit, and I actually moved spots while that was going on. I actually went farther south, and when I got there, I checked it, and I was really hoping they were going to be there, because there was even more fish there than the day before than where I was sitting. And it was just a ghost town. So I went back into the waves and got back up north a little bit and caught the last, I think, 4 or 5 I needed. And then we got one with like a minute to go, because I still didn't think I won. I mean, you just never know you do. And then, like I say, it just all worked out. I couldn't be more happy with it. It was super awesome, because when he was telling me that Chad was bumping me out, I knew I needed to catch 2 quick ones, because my goal was to get a lead on him. And then once I had that, it seemed like it kind of mellowed in.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. And I mean, like you talked about, that was kind of your end of the day and everything. And it gets stressful. And I will say too, you did get the benefit of not having a camera put in your boat at the end of the day, because Boots would even attest, like, the camera's always good and it's super fun to interact with, but like your oh shit moment of like, oh, I might win, is the moment that guy steps in your boat with an hour left. That's when all of a sudden guys are like, oh God, okay, yeah, camera's here we go. Like, I'm one of the guys, you know, and you kind of got to just have that experience with your marshal instead, which I think is super cool, you know?
Well, when he goes, your phone's ringing, and I go, oh boy, we must be in first or second, or we're moving up fast. And I kind of had a hunch we were flying up. And then he finally told me what place we were in, and then the phone rang. And as the phone was actually ringing, I had a fish in my hand. We were processing it, and he was trying to take the photo, and he actually let it, or denied it, took the picture, and then I go, you gotta call him back. Because I wanted to get the fish back in the lake.
Yeah. That happens, that happens all the time. That's not a problem at all. Like, if we miss one or we get sent to voicemail, we're like, oh, they're weighing a fish. Like, it's
because I had it in my hand holding her up, and he's like, I can't take the photo. I go, what's wrong? And I was like, what's going on? The phone's ringing. It says Paul Newman. I was like, oh, I go, just hang up on him. Let's take care of the fish and call him back. I go, they're probably going to try to get a camera boat over here or something. And he did fish, took care of that. I got back to fish, and I could hear them talking. And he asked where we were at, and we told him. And yeah, he wanted the GPS coordinates and stuff. So we did all that. And like I say, if you guys would have came over, it would have probably been better if you could have. I don't know if he could have gotten a boat or not, because the problem is, like you said earlier, the lake was set up at that time, but then you'd get 3-4 rogue ones, which is what the lake's known for, and that's where all your stuff breaks, because you're flying across them, and then you get a rogue wave, and your graph's hanging there or whatever else.
Yeah, you get 3 sisters that are like 6 to 7s, and you're like, oh my God. And I will say too, we probably could have got someone to you if Paul and I launched on the west side, or like the northwest side later, because we were like, we figured nobody was going to go fish in the wind to like out in front of Nitty's or Knox Point or anything like that. We figured by the afternoon that would be out of play. So we're like, okay, if we just launch on the west side, we'll be able to run Red Door, Malmo, everything over there, no problem. Get around, and then when we need to leave, we'll just rip back down and pull over. Then when you said that, I was like, God, if we would have launched at Hunters, we would have just drove right by him on the way in, and then it would have sucked, but we would have figured it out. But we had to make like we basically had to do a lap around the lake, like half of it in the boat, load the boat, drive the other half around with the truck to get there. But no, it was still super cool. It was fun. And one thing I noticed from doing the bass side forever is, you know, you get a lot of like 1.5 to 2.5 pounders. So when
Yep.
someone's got like an 8 or 10 pound lead, it doesn't really dwindle as quickly. Like you kind of see it coming, whereas you guys are catching, you know, 4 to 6 pound walleyes. So like all of a sudden when you would get on a pod, it's like boop, boop, boop. Like it was so fast. You're like, oh, wow, that happened quicker than I anticipated. So that was very cool to see too.
Yeah, and that was one nice thing about where we were at too. Like I say, my first spot on the east side when I got over there, they weren't as big. And I don't know which boat I was watching, but I watched them catch 2, and they were scoreable fish, but they didn't look very big. And then everything I was seeing too, that the spot's usually better opening weekend, and then they start to push out, get to the deeper sand, and they just make their way out to the mud. But by moving right away, that probably saved my day, because I didn't spend any time there. I was probably only fishing for 5 minutes, and I boogied.
Gotcha. How was the ride in then at the end of the day?
It was awesome. I go, we're not going to get wet anymore. I put the nose up, and we just rode them into the harbor. We weren't that far at that time.
Yeah, you were like, take her easy. We got 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure I won, or I'm in second. No need to beat anything up. Like you get a little bit of a joyride.
Yeah, that was the smooth ride in. And that was one thing that we were talking about where we were fishing. I told them, I go, I can fish till 3:30. I go, the guys on the far west side, if they think it's going to take longer than that half-hour window to get in, they're going to have to leave earlier than I am. And I go, if he can't fish for 10 minutes and I can get 2 more bites, I might be okay again.
Yeah.
You know, I had more time than they did.
Yeah. No, that's sweet. So then I guess just a couple more questions and we'll let you go out. But how did you like the whole time factor of the format? Like having 2 halves, lake gets split, it gets cut off. Like, you know, how'd you like I call it like the Champions Tour gamesmanship. Like it's more of a game than other stuff. What did you think of that?
I didn't hate it. It would take something to get used to. More of the time thing, like the midday break. We're not used to that. It's usually you get to your spot, fish it till an hour before, and then make your way home or whatever you need to get home with for time. That was the part a lot of us were like, this is weird. And the day seemed short, but kind of long. The second period seemed longer than the first period. The first period for me just flew by. And I think a lot of it had to do with the whole time thing. I didn't know how long it was going to take me to get up there. But the lake split, I mean, you said it when we were doing the meeting. We were all pretty quiet with the lake split. I don't know if that mattered too much. It was just more of the wind, and then where guys really wanted to fish and how much moving around we had to do. So, I mean, but the lake split now, if you had a different time of the year or on a different body of water, it might play a lot more than it would on Mille Lacs. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think it has a bigger factor on, and like the time thing you say too. Like if you go to a smaller body of water, Lake Minnetonka has a bunch of channels, but like you go to a Pekegama or Vermilion can get pretty big, or like gull, whitefish, I don't know, stuff like that. You know, when you're like, oh, no matter where I am, it takes me 10 minutes to get in. Like you see a lot more stuff happen, and there's a lot more different, and the lake splits get changed. I would agree with that. But other than that, yeah. Obviously you won, so you're probably really happy. But what did you think of that? What did you think of the whole thing? Like, you hope to see more of that format and everything, or?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to see more of it. What I liked about the most is we weren't just looking for 5. I got to catch a bunch of fish, and they all mattered versus looking just for the 5 biggest ones of the day and driving over smaller fish. So now I can catch them, have the joy of setting the hook and reel them in and move up. And everyone was talking about that. When you guys all left, we were in the bar talking, and I didn't hear one complaint about it at all. Everyone was so glad, so happy. The media you guys did, people were excited about that. The photos you guys took were absolutely cool. You get to see the action shots, and just the format itself, it's just different for us. And we would love to see more of it. There ain't a single guy that fished it that wouldn't probably show up.
Yeah. Oh, and I know, we want to do it more. And and the funny thing is, like, we had the media coverage and everything, but I even told Boots on the way home, I'm like, This was the most difficult media coverage day we've ever had, just because of the wind, getting around, getting to people and everything. And I was like, man, if they enjoyed this and they thought it was cool, I'm excited for what they see when we can actually get around the lake and get to everybody and like fully cover it. Cause I wanted to get to you to get photos of your trolling motor flying out of the water and everything. And I was like, I just don't think that can happen.
Like,
But,
it would have been pretty cool. I wish you guys could have got there, but in the end, I get it. I mean,
it was more
it was pretty rough over there.
And we had a smaller crew at this one. We'll be dialed even more at the next one, but I thought it turned out really well. I guess we'll last parting question, unless Boots has got anything, then we're gonna bring on our next man.
Yep.
If we were to have another one this fall, where do you want to see it?
Oh boy.
You can give me a couple options. You know what I mean? Give me a couple.
Yep.
Ideas.
I'd say Vermilion,
Okay.
Leech, or no, Vermilion, Winnie.
I would say, so I'll put a caveat on this, because you said
Okay.
Winnie, and like this is kind of something I think of. And I know Dane and I have had these discussions, just a little cat out of the bag for people. But if we're going to do them, I want to go places where there's not a bunch of walleye tournaments. So like when I hear or like big water, like we want to go to like other places that don't necessarily see it all the time. So like
and have
Winnie,
service too.
And they have service. Winnie
Yes.
doesn't have a lot of cell phone service. So I think of like Winnie and Cass and kind of stuff like that. And even Leech has so many tournaments. It's kind of like, okay, like what other cool places? I like Vermilion. I think that's a sweet idea.
God, I don't even really know, honestly. What other lakes is there? I mean, there's a bunch, but
I'm bringing you to a bunch of the Bass Lakes where we catch a bunch of walleyes on accident.
see, I know there was talk about you guys coming like Minnetonka doing it, but I don't like that lake. I fished the one bass tournament a year, but there's too many people down there. I think these guys would just hate it.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. We won't put that rumor out that would happen quick. I don't think that would happen. We discussed it as like, that could be a cool option. Just like
there's big ones in there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of walleyes in it. It's just there's too many boats, pleasure boats.
Yeah. I feel that, man. I have 2 tournaments out there in the next 7 days. I'm gonna get the full experience.
Yeah, you're gonna see all of it. It's above 50, 60 degrees. They're all gonna be out there tubing.
It's gonna be 85 on Monday, man. Memorial Day Monday. That place can be a madhouse.
You're gonna get beat down.
I wouldn't even go. I wouldn't even show up. We did the one classic. What's the first one of the year down there? Is that the classic?
Minnetonka, yeah.
Minnetonka Classic. I fished it once, and by 11 o'clock on that Saturday, I was like, I'm done with this. There's too many boats.
I'd say that's a pretty average experience down there.
That's what I'm fishing next Saturday. I'm excited for it. I love that tournament. So,
I mean, it was a cool tournament. Everything about it just be mint if it was on like a Tuesday or a Monday.
I just deal with the boats for 1 week, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, just get out of the system.
I think if you're gonna let me, then I would say Vermilion.
Okay.
If that would be my pick. Otherwise, like I say, the staple lakes. I think you'd get more boats if you went to those lakes, but I guess you have to try it and see what happens.
Yeah. I think we got endless options kind of with our format and everything.
Yeah, because there's like you got the Lahamadu chain. That's supposed to be a good one. Haven't fished it, but I've heard a lot about it. Gull Lake would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of walleyes in there too. I mean, you could mix it up, throw a river derby in there, and see what really happens.
We did talk about that. It would be cool to see what happens there when it's not all slot fish.
Right. It's like you're gonna get a guy that goes just hog hunting or catch a bunch of 20-inchers trolling. Maybe you never know what you're gonna see. You really don't.
For sure. Well, all right, man. One, congratulations on winning it. It was cool to see. I was happy to see how pumped everyone was, but other than that, man, I think we can let you go. And you got anything else for everybody here?
No, I guess just thanks for showing up, putting on an awesome event. Yeah. Really happy I was a part of it.
I'm glad you were there too. Like I said, I'm thankful for all the 24 guys that showed up. I think it just shows kind of guys who are hyped about it and ready to go do something different. I think that's cool.
Say Bart, one more thing before he goes. I remember doing the interview with him afterwards, and he kind of had a cool story of like you called, or Dane called you and Chad up to the stage, and you guys thought you tied.
I did. Just that's the first thing that happened. I don't know why. I was like, I always thought it's too good to be true until you got the trophy in hand. And we were standing there, and my brother or someone had said something, because I had a fish that didn't score. I seen on my sheet. And I don't know how or what. I mean, maybe you know, Bart, but I looked on the app and it said it didn't score, didn't count.
He might have done double entry on accident.
Okay. And like I say, I didn't know really what happened. And they had said that happened, and I didn't see it because I was too busy talking to people. And when we both got called up, I'm like, we tied, didn't we? And I'm like, there's no way. I had a decent lead. I was like, unless I lost everything for some reason. So we were standing there. I was glad he did it, though, because it put like a little suspense in it that I wasn't ready for. I just figured he'd call second place and then maybe first. And we'd get on with it. But when he called us both up, I was like, oh, boy, did I lose? But I didn't know. I was like getting a little hot there for a minute. And then when he finally said it all out, I was like, whoo, we still got her. But yeah, I was glad he did what he did, because it definitely shook me up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, it just makes it better.
Yeah.
That's
no,
awesome.
100%. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, yeah, man. Like I said, congratulations. I'm sure we'll see you at the next one, wherever we put it on out. And yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good night.
See you, Al.
You too.
All right. That is your winner from the Mille Lacs Champions Tour event. Yeah, it was a fun one to cover. Now, Boots, I don't know if you're ready, but we're going to talk about even more walleyes, but with a guy that knows a lot about walleyes.
Yeah, guy.
I actually also
popping up in.
I 100% didn't tell him that Pink and Sobi weren't going to be here. So, welcome, Boley. How's it going, Tom?
All good. Better off without him here, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. We can just talk, you know.
Yeah.
But how have you been lately, man? What have you been up to?
Running the race, open water season, baby. It feels good to finally be fishing around home the last couple of weeks, and yeah, doing the thing, I guess.
Yeah. So where have you all been this spring? Like, where have you been the last month?
Where have I been? I guess Lake Vermilion, some other lakes in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. Where else have I been in the last month? Green Bay, South Dakota, Missouri River stuff. I think that pretty much wraps up the month, I guess. Yeah. So a little bit all over, not a ton of travel the last couple of weeks, just since Wisconsin opened, obviously. Been kind of chilling around home, except for one trip to Minnesota.
Yeah. How's everything progressing up at Vermilion? Is the water temps like still in the 40s up there?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I was there like the week close to the weekend after opener. I think it was like upper 40s, or some of the warm bays were like 50 on the dot. But yeah, I mean, it was, someone told me like the ice went out a week before that. I don't know if that was true or not when I got there, but yeah, I mean, it was, but honestly, everything's been so cold this year. I'm sure you guys are seeing the same thing. It's just like we lost ice, and then like the second May got close, everything just started like going backwards. I mean, I remember we were filming app stuff the week before opener, and the temp was 8 degrees less by opening day in Wisconsin than it was a week before.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of, we can talk about this a bit too. I noticed it a bunch. Is this the latest you've seen walleyes like still milking? And there's like a lot of them still doing it. Cause I know we were just at that Champions Tour event on Mille Lacs, and guys were practicing over the weekend, and they're like, I'm catching walleyes that are still like ready to spawn.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. I haven't seen a ton of that. I mean, I've seen them spawn later plenty of times up around me, but it has been like the hardest year I've ever had for like big fish. Like the last 3-4 weeks, it's like the most finicky I've seen big fish in years, I feel like.
So you're saying just temperamental, like you're finding them, but they just don't want to bite?
Yeah, it's better now than it was like 2 weeks ago, but there's been so much like sit on them, sit on them, sit on them. And then for like an hour, it goes down. And then it's like sit on them, sit on them, sit on them, and just nothing happening. It's been kind of like the most fluctuating, weird, most inconsistent, maybe 4 weeks, 3 weeks I've seen as far as like fishing a lot of the lakes, northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota, I would say.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say that even too with the crappie bite. Because like we were in March to early April, we were traveling around doing some filming, and bite was honestly pretty good. Like they were really staged up, big groups, the whole deal. So you're
Pretty
just
easy, actually.
Yeah, like really easy. You're like, oh, cool, spring crappies. This is fun. And then the last, I don't know, 4 weeks, it's been terrible. Like in terms of like you're catching fish, but like you said, it's like a time window where you catch a bunch of them. All the lakes are just completely out of whack. I still think that I think a ton of crappies haven't even spawned yet. Like I think the bass are going to spawn before the crappies on a ton of lakes. Because to give you an idea, where the videos will come out in a bit, but Pink and I just went up to northern Wisconsin. And we found bays that were 60 degrees. And we just kind of started backtracking, trying to find the crappies. Dude, they're chilling in a winter hole in 28 feet, 2 feet off the bottom.
Yeah, it's been weird. I think that and just this weird, like high pressure blowout wind every day, cold nights, not really that warm. Now it seems like we're kind of starting to turn the corner, but everything's been weird. Like lakes we normally go to and everything's in 3 feet of water, it's in 15 feet of water off the edge. Lakes we go to where, or you go out there, you get on all the big fish and you just literally can't seem to make them do anything for like long periods of the day. Like this has been one spring where like, I don't remember the last time I just went out and it was like, man, I just smoked them today. Like big ones, I like really got on them and it really went the way it's supposed to go this time of year. I mean, normally they get done spawning and you get around Memorial Weekend and it's just like, you just crush them pretty much everywhere you go. And it's something about this year. It's definitely different.
Yeah, I feel that. I have not had that experience either.
Yeah.
It's been really, really rough. I had like a good 30-minute window where I beat them up, or crappies anyways, for a little while the other day, but just not like an all-day fun smash fest. Or like I haven't even caught a crappie in 3 feet of water this year. It's BS. I'm not about that. Like I haven't gotten the whole like shallow water thing. But yeah, like you said, it's been pretty out of whack. With that said, so people listening to this, I'm sure we're going to have a ton of walleye fishermen listening to this, considering how much we've talked about different walleye stuff. What are some spring, or I guess it's not, would you consider us still spring walleyes right now? Or are we like heading into summer?
I think you'd have to. I mean, it still feels like more of a spring bite to me than a summer bite. I mean, maybe you get down southern part of the state, it's early summer fishing, but it seems like walleyes are pretty much still spring relating. Most of the stuff we're seeing is like pretty much a direct post spawn, chilling in warm water, trying to get around bait type of pattern for the most part. We haven't seen stuff like consistently shift out yet. I always draw it like some years it's like Memorial Weekend where that switch flips where it's like, oh, now it's early summer. And that still could happen because sometimes it seems like it happens real fast when you get heat. But for right now, it still seems real springy out to me.
Yeah. Okay. So with that said, there's, I'm going to be putting this out in the morning. So it'll be going out for Memorial Weekend. This is like cabin country opens. This is when everybody goes up north. The whole Northwoods ignites. Now the stoplights take 10 times longer to get through. The whole traffic's here. Everybody's hyped to go catch walleyes up north. Give us a couple tips for people who, they're going out and they're opening up the cabin and they want to catch some walleyes this weekend. I'm assuming you're going to lead off with they're not where they have been. Don't fish memories.
They're where they have been. They're where they haven't been. They're everywhere in between. But new weeds pretty much the deal. Like in a lot of these lakes, whether it's big deep clear lake, whether it's a dirty shallow reservoir system. We're just pretty much fishing a ton of new weed growth, whether it's new cabbage coming up or some of that milfoil that's starting to build a little bit. I'm generally less than 15 feet of water. Maybe on your real clear lakes, we're fishing a lot of 12, 14, 8 feet of water. A lot of the dirty stuff. I caught walleyes flipping in reed beds yesterday. 4 walleyes in 2-3 feet of water in some of the stained lakes. So shallow, weed growth, warm water, and then a lot of bait. This time of year, you get around a lot of bait. Up shallow, there's gonna be walleyes there.
When you're saying like bait, are you talking like just like 1.5 to 2-inch minnows and baby perch, or like?
Yeah, life. Pretty much is anything I call bait. Anywhere where you got all those crappie bays where you pan the scope around, it's just masses of stuff everywhere. Could be crappies, could be little perch way up high right under it, could be little tiny minnows up on the bank in there right under the surface. Everywhere, every fish likes being around a lot of life this time of year. They're all trying to be warm and they're all trying to eat bait or basically bulk up after the spawn. So it's pretty much kind of the winning combination this time of year.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, cool. Now we can dive into whatever you want to, Tom, in all reality here. But something I wanted to talk about, and I guess I'm not technically sure how much you can dive into this. You can just say I plead the fifth if you need to. But so I saw you rigged up, you have MegaLive 2, and then you rigged up a boat with a 34, right?
Yep.
And I ran a 34 for 1.5 years, and I have MegaLive 2 now. I've used both. I know there's zillions of questions from people in terms of comparisons, and I felt like you and I might actually be able to have a pretty good conversation talking to people about like the differences and like, you know what I mean? Just like the honesty of like, okay, this is what it is, this is what it isn't, and just talk about it. And I guess, what has your experience been? Because had you used a 34 really until this year, or not really?
Last year I put one on. So I have 2 boats. One I use a lot for small lakes and river fish, and then the Warrior I use pretty much everywhere most of the time, I guess. So this will be my 2nd year basically running a 34 deucer on the little boat. Now this year I took it a step further and mounted a MegaLive 2 and a 35 deucer right on top of each other like this, and then
do they interfere or not really?
Believe it or not, they almost don't interfere.
Really? Because if you hit 2 MegaLive 2 deucers together, it's just like pa-cha.
or a Garmin and like a side imaging beam from something else.
Yes. Oh yeah.
How those two don't talk to each other in 2 feet of water when you're looking at wing dams, I have no idea. But they don't. So weirdly enough, at least not that much. But that was the only. So I have a pole mount in my little boat with both the deucers on, which looks absolutely ridiculous. But basically, the reason I wanted to do it is just because you get asked a million questions, right? And I feel like kind of built my channel. We built the app all on just, here's the practical information you need to know about this. So how am I supposed to know without actually using one, right? Sure, you can jump in a buddy's boat, but until you get a bunch of screen time, you obviously don't even know. So this will be my 2nd year now. And obviously there's differences. We just posted a video today, kind of, I don't even know if this is why you brought it up or not, but
no, I 100% didn't. I was just looing for people to add to this walleye conversation. I was like, I haven't talked to Tom in a while. Maybe I'll see if he's free. So that's just really good timing, actually. I had no idea.
Here's the video I posted like a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, I legit did not.
Funny.
This is very timely, evidently.
It is. So I wanted to film a video where he went out. There's lots of like, MegaLive 2 versus a live scope, or this where they like cast a bait, or they're like, there's a stump. But nobody's ever done one where they go out fishing and like get on a pod, turn one off, catch a fish on one, turn it off, catch a fish on the next one, and then like kind of repeat that for half an hour, maybe catch 6-7 fish. So that's what we did in that video. And it's basically just, exact, it's just the live feed of it going on. So there's little differences in both. I mean, I can't say enough about some of the updates that MegaLive has done, especially with like bait tracking and stuff like that in really shallow water. That's one that I almost feel like having those 2 mounted on, I feel like more of the time I end up using the forward facing on the Humminbird more because I feel like I can see a lot farther in shallow water, or maybe see my bait a lot better in shallow water with stuff that's off the bottom, weirdly enough, because I was always one thing, especially with like the first version, didn't see, it wasn't even close, obviously.
Yeah.
So I feel like I use it a lot more for that. some of those fish that are really, really, really tight to bottom, like down in mud almost, I feel like the Garmin might pick that one up a little bit better. But each kind of, I mean, the other big thing is like I have buddies that fish Garmins, I have buddies that fish Humminbird, you know, and you'll get in one boat or the other. They'll get in my boat and they're like, dude, this looks terrible. And I get in their boat and I'm like, dude, yours looks terrible, you know? So there's some level of like, whatever your eyes are used to picking up quickly, it seems like you end up liking more. You know, I think they're kind of at the point now where, yeah, it's almost, you know, pick your poison or pick whatever you like looking at more, I guess, you know.
Yeah, I would very highly agree with that. In terms of the shallow water thing, because I am curious on this, because that is something. So when people have asked me about my experience of like Garmin or MegaLive 2, what would you say? One thing people talk about is shallow water. And I would always say, I feel like at like 6 to 5 feet and under, I would have preferred my 34. Now, am I still capable of catching fish and it's really good and everything? Yeah, it's still really good. I'm just saying it's not quite, you know, it's not quite the same. But you're saying it's like that. Are you running the masks or do
No.
you don't have the masks on?
No, I don't. I pretty much run it straight out of the box. I click it one more angle up. A lot of it could just do with water clarity and stuff too. Like I just shot a thing. I mean, I've shot a lot of stuff this spring where I'm really shallow, and I was on Vermilion. I was fishing so shallow that I was kicking up dirt with the trolling motor, and you know, pitching at walleyes 80, 90 feet away and 3-4 feet of water, and bait tracking 16th ounce jigs and minnows. So, I mean, some of it's obviously water clarity, like we all know, but I swear something happened in that update that was last December, I want to say, that got rid of a lot of that shallow water clutter for me.
I will agree. This year, I've noticed that too.
I don't know if those things were related because I talked to people and they were like, they didn't seem like that was part of the update. And I'm like, maybe it's just me imagining it. I don't know, but it does. The other thing I will say is I like running stuff like really cranked up hot. So like a lot of times I'll intentionally look at that really jacked up, distorted screen sometimes too. But you know, I guess to each their own, I guess.
That I do that too. I run my sensitivity very hot because for me, I mean, I just remember watching like the Elite Series guys who were really good at it at the beginning, like Koya and Easton. And I mean, you go through it and name it. Patrick Walters way back when. They kind of always said they ran it hot because in your brain, like you said, your brain will identify what you want to see. You just need to see it. So my thought was always, as long as I can see my bait and the fish, all the other filter or noise or like when the 360 ring used to go through it or stuff like that, my brain would just filter that out. I wouldn't even notice it's there after a while. And someone else would get in your boat and be like, this looks terrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I can see everything I need to see. It's doing what I need to do. So I agree with that. I run it really hot. I noticed you're running I can't remember the name of it, but that blue background a lot.
Yeah, I like that Doppler a lot.
Even open water?
Yeah, if the water gets real janked up, I'll go to like I think they call it PB&J is one that I like.
I run that one in grass a lot.
Yeah, that one's good for like looking through stuff. A Doppler like that, all those 3-dimensional colors, they almost get everything obviously too much. You can't see through it. When there's a lot of fuzz or stuff going on in that skinny stuff. But yeah, that PB&J seems to be a good one. And when the pollen gets bad or if you're looking through weeds. But I do like that Doppler one. I also think it makes really good video too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I run Parrot a ton. That's the one I really like. That's the one that's like Boots. You help edit a ton of the videos. It's like green with like an amber background, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's how I'd explain it too. And I was kind of wondering too, like I don't know as much as like you guys for forward facing stuff as but after watching like Bart and the guys use it for 2 years now, like are you also kind of playing around with your settings as you go, or are you kind of like leaving it and then getting used to it as you go too?
Yeah, I mean, I basically start out with running it as hot as I can and then scale it back from there. Like if there's a lot of junk in the water, like shallow water, you could be just on a big windblown point where just weeds are getting broke off and it's just getting all like cluttery with debris. That auto is a good feature, obviously, for cleaning some of that up. The other thing I'll do is just drop consitivity and then keep contrast up. And that'll clean up some of it too. But for the most part, I try to run everything almost as hot as I can and then back it off if I need to for the most part.
Do you have your God, I can't remember the feature. It's low, medium, high.
Dynamic contrast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you just leave that on low all the time?
Honestly, a lot of times, like in really skinny water, I'll leave it on high. And then
Oh, really? You go to high in skinny water?
yeah, if it's a really, really hard bottom, then you might have to drop it out a little bit and drop sensitivity a little bit. But I like that dynamic contrast for like almost out over the basin, and then I'll just run the range way out to like 100, 120 plus feet sometimes, out over that real deep water. And then I can just see stuff a mile away and see 1/8 ounce jigs, way out there.
Interesting. I haven't messed with that in a long time because I just had it on low almost always, and I just kept burning the sensitivity higher. But I do run. So have you started messing with landscape for walleyes and stuff, or not really?
Yeah, we don't film it a ton. I mean, obviously, forward's still such a killer tool for putting a bait on a fish's head. I also don't run 2 deucers at the bow, just one. Plenty of times we used it for, especially like river fishing. Use it a lot on rivers. For the most part, I feel like obviously you always miss some fish like really shallow on that sand stuff or whatever it might be. But I feel like just having side imaging, like a lot of times it'll pick up a few extras, throughout the day. Looking at that, but probably maybe not as much as I should run it. Just because I feel like 99% of it's still got to put a bait right on a fish's head, and the precision of forward mode still tough to beat.
Yeah, and I mean, I use the landscape mode a lot, especially this time of year. But the one thing I would say in terms of like talking about the 34 and MegaLive 2 is I will just say it flat out right now is I think MegaLive 2's landscapes mode is superior, and like it is extremely impressive. You have to mess with the settings and the angle and everything more on your transducer, I would say. Like with the 34, you can just like throw it on, turn it on, go do your thing. Like it's user friendly. You get to just rip. But if you want to mess with your settings, from what I've seen, I don't know if you've seen the same thing, but I think if you mess with your settings on ML2's landscape, you can do some pretty crazy things. Like I was messing with it last year in the spring. I had it out to like 70 or 80 feet, and I like was looking at my 360 that was there, and I was like, why do I even need this right now? But
yeah,
it's super cool. I don't know if you've kind of noticed that too, but
yeah, I use it a ton in rivers. So like I say, I do a lot of just fishing backwards. And then those fish in those rivers, they suck down so tight to the bottom, you just can't see them a lot of times in forward mode, and that real skinny stuff. And I would agree, it is impressive. I probably haven't done as much filming on it as we could. Now, obviously, walleyes aren't always in 2 feet of water. Maybe like a lot of the bass are, or 3-4 feet. But especially when you get it out in that 7-8, like a Leech Lake sand bite, like you could go out there and have a ball with 3 guys pitching jigs on that kind of a bite with landscape mode, obviously.
Yeah, like you could just pan it out to like 80 then, and couldn't you just like chase them around and be like, oh, there they are?
Oh yeah, especially when they're all potted up like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can run that thing a long ways when that whole bottom is just sugar sand,
Okay, cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I give props to Humminbird on how far they've come, to be honest. Like it's really quite good. And I think like you said earlier, I think there's a big thing to just how it looks to your eye, like what you're used to looking at. I think Humminbird's is, I don't want to say more fuzzy because that's not right, but like Garmin's is just like definite, that's very defined when you're looking at the image. And the MegaLive 2's blends a little bit more. Am I explaining that right? And it's just like, if you know what you're looking at MegaLive 2, you can pick up a lot. And there's a lot of stuff that people are missing, I think.
Yeah, and so much of it depends on the lake too. I mean, in that
Yeah.
that demo video we filmed, we were basically just like, we asked basically AI, like, give me default settings for LVS34. Give me default settings for a hummingbird. You know, we basically just plugged it in, and like in that water situation, like it was amazed how much better to my eye and how much cleaner the hummingbird looked, running everything super hot. But then you go to lakes where, you know, flip flops, or you really got to play with stuff. I think so much of the people that I think watch a lot of my stuff, or, you know, I mean, I'm a bread and butter walleye guy, right? Catering to the Northwoods walleye crowd. And I think one huge advantage to the hummingbird is there's not a TVG, there's not a ghost tree, there's not a this, there's not a that, you know, there's not an appearance, a layout of this or that. So give me something I can plug in. It's got an auto, it's got sensitivity, it's got contrast, and let me rip, right? And there's no black box. I think for a lot of guys just looking to slap a graph on their boat and go, I think it's, you know, it's hard to honestly beat that Explore line. And I have 2 of those on my big boat and 1 on my little boat, just for like a plug and play, rip it and go type of graph.
Yeah, I would agree, especially with the usability of the new Explorers. Just there, yeah. I think back to running Helixes, and I'm like, I used to think this was easy. And now you're on Explorer units, you're like, wow, this is substantially easier. And I just cleaned up all my waypoints from the last 8 years in like 10 minutes.
Yep.
I can't even imagine how many waypoints you got these days.
Not that many, actually. I'm not a big waypoint guy. I feel like I might go on a week-long trip and drop 1 waypoint a lot of times on lakes.
Oh, you're just fishing around.
Yeah, I mean, or it's just, I don't know. I feel like I don't mark waypoints like I used to. Like when I started, it was like, there's a rock off of the main rock pile, waypoint. There's a, you know, whatever this thing is on the bottom, mark it. Oh, the bottom came up like a lip 1 foot there and 56 feet of water, mark it.
Yeah.
But, like I'll bet, I mean, I remember maxing out a lot of helixes on waypoint storage, but now, you know, for the last 3-4 years, I feel like I haven't dropped maybe 300 waypoints a year.
You think that's also too, just because like with the tech we have now with forward facing and all that, like you don't need to. You can just go chase active fish. You can go find fish. And like you also, I think back in the day, we were so like, oh, all our fish are spot oriented. And even up until recently, I think a lot of people still think that way. Like you hear it said on the bass side, or even walleye, crappie, whatever it is around the country. They're like, oh, down south, they move around more. Up north, they're more spot oriented. And I just keep being like, I don't really think that's true, dude. Like, I think they like certain areas up north more because they don't get pressured as much as they do down south. But, and it could be different for walleyes, obviously, but I just think fish move around and it's easier for us to find them now. So once you get a better lay of the land, you don't really need to drop waypoints as much, right? That's kind of my thought.
Yeah, my theory for a long time, even before forward facing, was because we used to do so much basin trolling and just fishing way off a structure. That was that when you see fish, like 20 of them, and it's the middle of the day sitting on a rock pile, like they're not there because they're just eating a whole bunch of stuff right there. They're not there with all their buddies just chilling on the rock pile eating stuff. You know, they're there for whatever. It's a good water temperature in a spot just to metabolize the food before they go back out where the other fish are to actually feed. So like, that's why, I mean, you've probably seen it 100 times. Like you can't catch a fish in a school of 15, but then you see the one roamer and pick it off immediately, right? So I think that's obviously part of that waypoint, that sweet spot on the rock crown where there's always 10 of them sitting isn't that important anymore.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Yeah, everything's changing, but there's more people catching more fish. And I think that's like super fun. And like this couple weekends I was in Wisconsin and northern Minnesota and stuff, I feel like I've learned so much more about fishing so much more rapidly than ever before. Like I still have bad days on the water where I go home and I'm like, man, I didn't really catch them as well as I thought I would. But I feel like I learn way quicker of like, okay, like what did I do wrong? And you're able to rebound from that, where before there would be a week on the water where you go out and you're like, if you told me I had an 8th day and I could go catch them, I don't have an answer. You know?
Yeah. I always say I catch less fish now than I used to. And I don't know if that's because obviously you know a lot more now. I don't know if it's because you know, with all the technology, you go out and you chase a specific thing. Maybe it's not just a big fish thing, but you're like, man, I want to jerk bait him today. Man, I want to film this like this today. And it's not just like, we're going to go out and just see what the lake gives us today. I feel like there's always like, I'm not going to say like you have the upper hand, but because you get humbled. I fished 4 lakes yesterday and caught 2 walleyes on the first lake I fished. Granted, it was 4 small lakes, never heard of before, but I get humbled just as much now as I ever have. But I honestly think day to day I catch maybe less fish now than I used to, because you're almost going like fishing for a specific reason, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, but do you think that's more because of you film videos, content creation, and the app and everything now compared to back before when you were like guiding and just going fishing? You know what I mean?
I honestly don't know. I don't know if because it's changed so much, just lake to lake, bite to bite. Like there's stuff we used to do 10 years ago that just fish are so accustomed to boats and motors now that you can't even get close to doing it. So who knows? I mean, it could be a little bit of both, I guess.
Okay. Fair enough. Boots, you got anything? Otherwise we can keep moving on.
Yeah, like you mentioned using AI to help you dial in your settings. Are you using AI for anything else?
A ton of stuff, not
YouTube thumbnails and titles.
Yeah.
I don't use it. I honestly I did it for a couple and I felt like I was cheating, so I quit doing that.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I saw like everybody did AI thumbnails for a little bit and I was like, oh, that's gonna burn out fast.
Yeah, I never did an AI thumbnail. Still thought they looked corny, but we use it a lot of stuff for short form editing, for little things like that, for some stuff on the app. It's good for obviously like figuring out what people are looking at. A lot of things, and I honestly use it a lot more for like brainstorming stuff than I do that and tech stuff. Like, how do I do this? How do I live stream this? What's the product that I need for this to make sure the HDMI cable doesn't pop out? Stuff you'd never find in 1,000 years just looking it up. That AI finds it obviously in a second. So more for stuff like that, and then social media stuff on the backside than anything else.
Have you ever tried using it for like breaking down water or anything like that?
Yeah. Just playing around with it. Obviously, like, I think it's similar to probably, it's basically a form of, you guys probably remember like Humminbird Smart Strike, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's just taking loose data, like in the spring, fish are shallow on points and generally in this depth, and it's plugging it in and telling you where to fish. So sometimes we do like ask it a question and, like, where's a good, I'm struggling on this lake, what to do? Talk into the thing. And I always just leave it open where like it has the conversation with you, and it'll be like, try shallow. You're like, I've done that. And it'll be like, well, if you've already done that, you might want to slow down and take another look at it. And you're like, no, trust me, I looked at it. There wasn't fish there. Try the evening bite in a similar location, It almost feels like you're on like some game show.
It's like, I assure you they are shallow. Yeah. And you're like, I assure you they are not.
I didn't see you out there, ChatGPT.
But do you think there's like a future in some of these like electronics for something with the use of AI, or where do you see that evolving?
Yeah, the whole technology thing is just, it's so quick to get information. I think that's the biggest thing, it's just how quickly you can get a report from anywhere in the country and get places to start. That's always a big one that I see. We could probably, do we do a test run right now?
Sure.
This should be interesting.
I'll try to turn the volume up here. Where do we want to Mille Lacs?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing yet published on how that walleye tournament got won, so we could see if it already knows that. That would be pretty crazy.
I just want to see, like, all right, put yourself into someone's situation who, like, they fish twice a year. They've never been to Mille Lacs. I've never been to Lake Mille Lacs in the springtime. What is some go-to baits for this time of year, and what part of the lake should I start on? Should I start shallow or should I start deep?
Spring on Mille Lacs is a pretty special time. Typically in the spring, walleyes and other fish often move into shallower water to spawn or feed. So a good place to start is along the rocky shorelines and near the shallow bays, especially in about 5 to 10 feet of water early on. As for baits, a jig and minnow combo works great in the shallows, but also consider using lipless crankbaits or small swim baits if you're working the shallows. Once the day warms up or if the bite slows, you can head a bit deeper, maybe around 15 to 20 feet. But starting shallow is usually a halibut bet this time of year.
I'm launching on a Red Door resort. Is there good spots near there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Red Door is a great launch point. You can explore the area just south of the bay. There are some shallow reefs and flats right near there, especially in the spring. You might also try heading east toward the Indian Point area. There are some nice rock files and weed edges as the water warms. So definitely give those spots a go. They're pretty
What
productive.
about in 4 to 6 footers?
What do you do if it's 4 to 8 foot waves?
Oof, yeah, if the waves are that big, safety definitely comes first. I'd say stick to protected areas, so maybe stay in some of the calmer bays or close to shore. Just keep an eye out for wind direction and shifts. If it gets too rough, don't be afraid to postpone or pick a different day. It's not worth risking a rough ride.
But think about just what that is like as a starting point for someone. I mean, obviously the directions are a little off on where any point is and all that stuff, but you know, oh, shallow, I got to go shallow. You know, jigging a minnow is a good bet. Maybe if in the middle of the day, I should slide out deeper. You know, even just that little bit of information, just by asking that, is huge for somebody who's never been walleye fishing on Mille Lacs before, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And now you add in all the videos and everything that is out there for people now. Like, there's never been more information for people to go catch fish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I always, like, we always get asked the question 1,000 times. Like, do fish feel the forward-facing beam? Do they feel this? And I think they feel boats more now. You know, think of how quickly boats get on fish and just cycle them all day long. You know, boat in, boat out, boat in, boat out. It's so much easier for people to get on fish now. I think that's 99% of it, why we see fish change so much, obviously.
So that I would agree with that, because our thing, I mean, I feel like we're pretty early adapters. You know what I mean? We were starting to use this back in 2021, way early. I mean, heck, even probably before then a little bit. And I think in like the early years, we kind of thought like, oh man, they're like not getting close to me again. But then as we've done it more and more and you see open water and everything, I think it's much more noise. Like whether you're on ice or in a boat, like I just realized how much boat noise really actually matters. Like I got power brakes on my boat, and being able to fish with the wind and like use that, because your boat's so much quieter if you can go with the wind. Your ability to get on fish in community areas and have them not know you're there is significantly higher. So I would agree with that, but I do think there still is something to the beam, specifically through the ice in down mode, shallower than like probably 10 feet or even in crappies. Like I think there's something in down mode. I don't know why though.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time, like running it for walleyes. Like you watch a fish come in 3 feet off the bottom, coming in from the side 20 feet away, like in down mode, and for some reason they sink and then they get through it and they go back up. Now, whether that's your bait's there, it's a shadow coming through the ice, noise on the ice, I have no idea. Or whether it actually is the sonar, I couldn't tell you. But I mean, we see it too, obviously, and walleyes, same kind of thing, and it, obviously more in that shallow water. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I mean, also, if you got anything you want to go on, Tom, or you got questions about, we can go there too. But how was your ice season? You glad to be done?
Glad to be done. I spent, I think, I think February 7th was my last day on the ice, and then I went
Yeah, I
straight
saw
down
you.
to
I saw you
Arkansas
post.
and
I
Missouri.
was like mad.
Yeah.
I almost
all the undiscovered walleyes down there. I mean, I'm not going to call them undiscovered, but there's so little pressure down there, and there's so much walleye fishing down there. It's unreal to me. Maybe in a few years, I'll just forgo all of ice fishing and just do that all winter.
Dude, have you thought? I know we talked about this last time you were on. Have you thought about doing like a New York swing or some shit like that?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I mean, we get messages from everywhere, and I don't know if, it's hard for me to drive by just so much walleye stuff to get to somewhere. Now, if they had like something epic out there, I mean, I know they got like the east end of Erie or whatever, but there's also a Lake Erie that's 12 hours from my house. So it's hard to want to drive that additional mileage just to fish the same lake. But if there was like a Fort Peck or something in New York, I'd probably be there already. But it just seems like all the crazy good stuff is Great Lakes West, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I just think like, and I mean, I guess your YouTube crowd's a bit different, right? Like you make educational walleye videos for that crowd that just like eats them up. Like you said last time, you could make another video on 3 tips how to rig a split bobber, and it would just go ape shit. You could just do that forever. But there is a balance of like those passion projects or like your hunt for the one stuff, kind of different things we do as well, where those adventures can just be so much fun. And just seeing new places, that's like what gets me going these days anyways.
100%. Same for me. And one thing I realize is like, man, there's so many places I haven't been that are like an hour from my house.
Yeah.
So I'll fall on the sword probably 15 times this year when I go out, take my little boat, and I'll do what I did yesterday and like fish 4 of these lakes in a day that are under 400 acres or under 500 acres that I've never heard of. I mean, you could do that in northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota for the next 40 years, and the list would seemingly not get any smaller,
Yeah.
And I mean, even that stuff excites me as much as we all love chasing big fish. I mean, there's so much of that cool little lake stuff. Like I love going to a little lake I've never heard of before and catching 4 15-inch walleyes. I mean, that's like just as cool as going to somewhere big and catching a 31-incher.
And I feel like those, when I do adventures around the country or like go somewhere new, right? Like when we went to Vilas County later in the winter last year, and then we got home, like when I get back home, all of a sudden my eyes are like, I'm looking at maps or whatever, One Boat Network app, Onyx Fish, whatever. I'm just scrolling through everything. And all of a sudden, like a lake I've scrolled over 1,000,000 times just like lights up to me. I'm like, ooh, why have I never noticed that? Like I should go check that out. I just feel like that adventure keeps you really going,
Oh yeah. I mean, my favorite thing in all of my job is like when I'm somewhere where I'm all by myself, somewhere I've never been for like 4 days, and you're just like in the zone. You're almost just like lost in the fishing, the filming. Sometimes you go out and you like try to create it, and it's almost like you need to just go. For me, anyways, it's like I gotta go be lost for like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then like let the video kind of take hold. Otherwise it feels like you're too rushed, like trying to just like, all right, I got to get there. I got to get the opening shot. I got to get the intro. I got to make sure I get that whole sequence shot. And it feels like you're trying to like go at your own progression or like at your own pace that you have set up in your head, where it always seems like the best things are just where you go. You're just kind of there for however long it takes for you to kind of get what you want, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So like with that said, with videos and everything, kind of curious your thoughts on this. I know Boots and I have been talking about this, and Sobi, me, and Nick, and we're always calling each other, just bouncing ideas. I feel like in the last 6 to 8 months, YouTube fishing, at least in our area, has gotten somewhat stagnant in terms of viewership. Like I'm just not having random videos go like they used to anymore. I don't know if you're experiencing the same thing or not. I just feel like they're hitting a ceiling more often than not these days. And I don't know if it's YouTube or like just fishing content in general. Have you get what I'm saying, or am I off base here based on
100%. And it's hard to know because YouTube, whether you're on top of the world or going through the ruts of YouTube, right? You feel like you never really know. And then post a video one day and you're like, we're back to the top, baby.
Yeah, you're like, we did it. You can do all videos like this.
Yeah. But yeah, 100% could be. I mean, obviously the COVID stuff seemed crazy. You know, obviously a lot of growth probably for everybody that time. Whether it is stagnant now and it's a YouTube thing, I don't know. I mean, I always wonder is it you film a lot of longer content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that stuff do better? The same? Not matter? Still title and thumbnail oriented? Because I always wonder if it's...
Boots, you could probably fill in a little bit on this too because you've been watching it. So I would say for me, for the Chronicle specifically, I would say when we go do something new or something epic is when it peaks. If I just if I go do your you know, equate this to crappie fishing, but if I did your 3 ways to rig a slip bobber video, I'm quite confident it would do terrible. And that's just based on my, you know what I mean? So if I did I don't know, maybe if I did 5 steps to find spring crappies, it would do pretty good. But you get where I'm saying, where I think my audience really wants to see epic. And when we did the South Dakota stuff this winter, that slammed.
Nice.
Big, the viewership wasn't necessarily crazy. It's 20,000, which is nothing nuts, right? It's not like when we did Red and it was 140. But it had that peak and hit. And then when it got posted on socials, it was stuff was everywhere. And you're like, okay, here we go. There's that rabid fandom. But then it's almost like it just died much quicker. So I don't know if it's people's attention spans or you kind of get what I mean there, Boots?
Yeah, because I mean, we really like to test a lot of things in terms of playing around with the title, or is it the thumbnail, or is it the length of the video, to kind of get an idea of what might hit. But even then, a lot of times we just get even more confused.
Yeah.
Same. I hardly look at all into I mean, you obviously try to make the best thumbnail you can and the best title, whatever. But for me, it almost just seems more random. I'll go through where I film a hunt for the one something that I edit for 7 days around the clock, and I put it out. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever touched as far as editing goes and production goes and big fish goes. And then maybe it sucks, you know, and then 2 weeks later you film a dumb thing around home that you're like, I don't even know if this is a video. I show it to my buddies, yeah, post it, man. It's a decent video, and it blows up. And you're like, I don't is it? I mean, it's probably in all honesty, it's just there's so much on YouTube now. I mean, how many people are filming everything fishing now? Obviously, I think the people probably telling stories and actually have a relatable personality is probably the ones that win out in the end and put in the work, obviously. But I think a lot of it is obviously going to be a lot less about views and a lot more about that kind of creating that rabid fandom, you know, in my opinion. I mean, for all of us, obviously trying to make a living in the fishing industry, if you don't have the rabid fandom, you can have millions of views, but ultimately it can be hard to actually turn into a business at that point, I think.
Yeah. And I think, so I'm curious, going forward, you probably got some cool plans and cool places you're going and all that coming up. One thing I've kind of been chatting about that I think is utilized in other industries or sections of YouTube, I would say, that is not in fishing. And we could do it sometime if you want to, but I don't feel like any of us use collaborations at all.
Probably not as much as we should.
And I think it would go in terms of reigniting, in terms of oh yeah, I love that guy, or I love that guy, the way he tells stories, or whatever it is, or I love Tom's educational content, or you know what I mean? Seeing some people they've seen forever do stuff together, I think would kind of re-spark a lot of that interest. Because if you think about it now, it's like, okay, yeah, since COVID, it's been 6 years, dude. People have been watching 6 years of videos of us doing stuff.
Yeah.
And we haven't really done, like, you and I haven't filmed together since Team Yukon Outdoors like a decade ago.
Crazy.
I think we had more subs than you.
Oh,
which is crazy.
It was probably like 2013 or 14 or something.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something, you know.
Yeah, and I think too. Like, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like Bart and I know the what was it, the invitational golf tournament that they did with the with all those YouTubers.
Barstool
and I think yep, that's the one. But I think what a lot of people see there is they get introduced to a lot of new personalities too. Where I think if you get the educational interest from Tom's channel and then coming over and collaborating with Crappie Chronicles, for example, like I think a lot of new people that have no idea who Bart and Griff are going to go, oh my God, these guys are hilarious. I'm going to tune into this a lot more. Like, you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't know if it's just because it's fishing and, you know, we're all trying to go different places all the time. And, you know, it's hard to always line that kind of stuff up versus, you know, something like golf where you can have 15 people there or something. But I do think it'd be big. The other thing I always think is live streaming. Like live streaming is the other one I'm going to take another swing at here soon. I always think something with live streaming and something with collaboration is going to be a thing at some point.
Yeah, I would, and I'm not, I guess, so for me, I personally am not huge on the live streaming thing. I actually, personally, I think it was the detriment of, not the detriment of, I think that's the wrong way to say it. I think that it has hurt like Bassmaster and MLF and stuff like that in the long run. Like, I think initially the viewership is so high and everything, but then there's so much content of it that people get overwhelmed and are like, I don't even, like, for me, dude, I'm a diehard tournament bass fisherman. I don't think I've watched a live bass event in like a year and a half, just because I'm like, I don't have time to divulge into this tournament in 4-day story. Yep. And now I'm like, I really wish you'd do an hour recap because I'd watch it.
Well, it's, I think it's a formatting thing, you know, obviously 8 hours, you know, I don't have 8 hours to sit and watch a tournament either. I think something in a shorter time frame, that's a challenge at a schedulable time where you can have other people on. I keep coming back to, like, nobody's watching a football game on Tuesday morning, right? So there's got to be something with the live stream. And as much as everybody wants like real content, I mean, it doesn't get any more real than being live, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you lose almost most of the storytelling options. Anything post-production is obviously gone. So I don't know. I mean, somebody will eventually win with something YouTube fishing, live streaming. Maybe somebody already is, and I just don't see it. But I always keep coming back to, like, there's just got to be something there, you know?
Yeah, well, and especially with like Starlink and stuff getting better now, like I think there's actually options there compared to before. I don't think it was really a doable thing like 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was extremely difficult.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a little bit more doable now. But like you said, I just think, and I think on the fishing side, I guess my theory with the collaborations is, you know, compared to golf or some of these other places, I think financially a lot of those creators are much more well off than obviously fishing industry guys. So I think there's a certain part of guys being like, dude, I just need to pay my bills and get by. And it gets really hard to be like, you get almost a little selfish in the sense of, not that you don't want to share the pie, because there's a ton of the pie, YouTube's whatever, but it's you know what I mean? You just start worrying about your own thing, and then it's like, okay, I need to collaborate with this guy. And I feel like the fishing industry is a little more, I don't know if selfish is the right word, but
Yeah, I definitely feel you.
Self-focused, or I'm saying that wrong. I guess I don't. You get what I'm saying, though, right?
Intrinsically
Like people are
motivated.
looking
to
out
do
for
There
it.
you go.
themselves.
Intrinsic, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there is something where I just think collaborations on fishing could be enormous.
Yeah, I mean that's 100%. And I know that's always one of my big downfalls. I love just being alone. Like I love getting away from everything and being by myself. So like a lot of times I'll have buddies that want to come with. I'm like, dude, I just need to be alone for 5 days, you know, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, if there's probably some kind of mesh between a live stream and a collaboration, you know, somewhere too, something like that, where, you know, you're fishing against somebody or with somebody live, blah, 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 while collaborating. I mean, there's obviously plenty of the play on YouTube. I think there's always a place for the long form content, the storytelling stuff, because obviously we all like that so much, but, it does feel saturated from like a normal video standpoint for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe in the future you and I will connect and we'll go do like a collaboration trip or something where you film 3 of your like educational style videos or whatever, and then I make a film out of it and we drop some epic collab thing. Like maybe people, and also it's like, would people like that? Like, do people want to see that? They can comment that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like none of us really know. But I do think there's something there to that. What
do you say we just all don't ice fish? We all go down south for the winter and just film open water walleyes from December till about February.
Yeah, like just a year of no ice. We do a year of no ice content, and then everyone's just so mad. Yeah. And we're like, all right, you guys aren't gonna watch. I won't do it.
Yeah. They'd hate us so much that collaborations wouldn't go well, and then it would be a double loss on our end, probably.
Yeah, for sure. But no, that was something I noticed this winter. I didn't know, or I would say the last 6 to 8 months, I think. Because even the open water side, I feel like it just hasn't felt like there's been a juice like there's normally been. And I don't know what that is.
And honestly, just from like the retail side, I think it's something about this spring. It just seems like enthusiasm, or maybe, I mean, it could even be just it was a hurricane for the last month and a half too. You know, it seems like things are just more subdued this year. Like there's not as much as enthusiasm throughout maybe the whole industry for some. Maybe that's kind of what it seems like this spring to me too.
Yeah, well, I'm still going fishing a bunch, so I mean,
Same.
That's cool with me.
Yeah,
that's whatever.
Yeah, I know Bart and I talk about this quite a bit too. But do you think that's partly because more people are just out fishing rather than sitting there watching videos?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. I think it's YouTube's so saturated, you know, there's so many people doing it now. There's so many different ways to, you know, consume the content. I think now there's so many different ways that it could be reading a Facebook post that gets your little 30-minute fishing hit of the day. You know, it could be watching this guy's YouTube video, that guy's live stream, watching this guy's app, watching that guy's educational online course. You know, I mean, there's just 1,000 different ways. For so long, it was just a YouTube video, you know, when you think back to the boom. I mean, where were you getting the video fishing content other than just clicking on a YouTube video, you know?
Yeah, even like, you know, that boom, it was, you know, much longer ago, but like COVID, I feel like extended that boom. Like it was kind of going down, then COVID hit and it was like wham, right back. But yeah, I don't know. It could be a thing now, or maybe it'll change, or I don't know. There's just different content too. I do know one thing, that for young people coming up, I think it is tough right now.
For people trying to be basically a creator or something?
Yeah. I think it's tough to get noticed personally. Unless you're
Yeah.
doing mega short form.
Yeah, I always wonder. I don't know the first thing about social media, to be completely honest with everybody here, but I don't. I always wonder, like, man, should we do more short form? And it's like, I don't know. I suck at telling a 30-second story, a 15-second story. Like, it's just not my jam. So, like, it's such a foreign world for me to think, like, man, dude, how do these people take these 20-second things and get all of this, this huge subscriber number and all this stuff? I have no idea how it translates to like actual business at the end of the day, but it is impressive to watch.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we all know Buddy Jaron, but like what Jaron's done the last couple of years has been extremely impressive. And I love Buddy Jaron. He's awesome. But yeah, you look at that and you're like, okay, there was one. But yeah, it just feels like, I don't know. Also, maybe we're just all doing our thing and we're overthinking it, just like the whole YouTube thing in general.
We're just all old and washed up now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think along with that, like, it's a lot tougher for new people to get in, but I think there's still a lot of opportunity for new people to join too. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, you get some kid who's passionate about it. He's got a personality, who's willing to just put in the hours. I mean, he's still going to get there, I think. But it's probably a lot. You think about how many channels maybe started as a hobby and then jumped to something after that. Like, there's got to be a lot less of that now, I would assume, for sure.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in some way, that's probably how this started for all of us, right? Like, I never wanted to be a YouTuber. I never had any intentions of doing that. I was trying to book guide trips,
Yeah, and then you were like, I could be done guiding and I could just do that.
Yeah. So at some point, but yeah, definitely probably hard. And those hobby guys, I mean, a lot of people just film because they like to, but I don't think a lot of people are probably like, oh, I'm going to throw stuff out there and just see what happens. And then it gets to a point where they're like, wow, I could quit my job now,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Totally get what you're saying. Okay. But I mean, not to keep you any longer, but you got any fun stuff coming up this summer you want to talk about? Any cool trips you're going on?
Yeah, we got some cool ones. Honestly, a lot of the trips I'm going to try to stay away from. We're still going to go to some big name places, but we're going to do a lot more like off the beaten trail stuff, or attempt to. Obviously, those ones have a high propensity just to want to crash and burn when we do them. But want to go to a lot more places that I've never heard of. Not big stuff. Fish a lot of numbers lakes type areas. Get in spots with, areas that I haven't fished before, and just explore. Because like we said, those are always the exciting ones. So that's one big hope for me this year.
Yeah, we've even been talking about that kind of with the Chronicles is like, you're playing with fire, but I want to get back to like, we go on this trip and it's like, we could come back with 0 videos.
Mm-hmm.
We legitimately could, because those are the ones where you come back and the stuff, when it works, you're like, that was sick.
Yep. You guys, how's the Crappies Open Water Chronicles stuff going?
I think it's going good. So I don't know. It was just kind of nobody's really doing it up here anyways. So it was like, we didn't really know what to expect. It's doing about what I kind of thought it would. I feel like open water compared to ice is always about half the amount of views. So it's doing about what I thought it would. It was also the feel out process of like, okay, normally there's 4 of us. Now you can only put 2 guys in a boat plus boots if we have them with. So that's 3. So then you need 2 boats. Like, there's kind of that logistical stuff we had to work through. But in terms of going places and doing it, I think it's been super fun. The only damper has been, like you said, this spring has been an absolute hurricane.
Yeah.
So it feels like no matter where I go, the whole time I'm like, this audio is going to be awful.
Yeah.
And you're just battling that. But other than that, I think it's been really good. I think this year was a big, like, feel it out. Kind of how is this going to go? What do we want to do? I'm excited for the future of it because, like you said, kind of at the beginning, you kind of play it a little safe. like, okay, I know we can go get some here. I know we can do this. I feel comfortable with this. And now that it's kind of worked, you gain a little bit of confidence. You're like, okay, I want to go do some stuff where this could go poorly.
Yeah.
Because that kind of gets you going. But
Oh, yeah.
I think it's been going pretty well. It just also, we talked about social media wise, it felt like there was no spring crappie boom where everybody was whacking spring crappies.
Yeah. Yeah. Strange year for sure. But yeah,
No.
I mean, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and put a camera in my face and do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I'm finishing editing a bunch of stuff and I'm heading into tournament bass season, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. That's kind of my little bit of, I get to, like, when you get to go hunt in the fall, I kind of get summer bass season where I get to just go chase tournaments and kind of forget about cameras for a little bit.
That's nice. I always ask myself that. I'm like, when did this job turn in from fishing to basically mostly not fishing? Every day it seems like I'm having one of those like 2 weeks where it's like, do I fish anymore? Like when's the fishing part happen?
Yeah, I even I have a whiteboard next to my desk that I have like my goals and different things written on, and one of them is fish 2 times a week. And as crazy as that sounds to people, because they're like, what, you go film videos? It's like, dude, there's weeks where like you'll just sit and edit for a week, and then the week's gone and you're leaving somewhere for a weekend, and maybe you're going fishing, but you're filming again. You're not just going fishing. So just going out for 2 or 3 hours in an evening to just enjoy it and leave stuff at home gets difficult. I do have one question for you, because we were chatting Champions Tour and everything earlier. I'm not even sure if you're familiar with this. Are
Caught
you
a little
familiar?
bit of it.
Okay. So Champions Tour is an every fish counts bass format. They had their first walleye tournament. They did it on Mille Lacs this Tuesday, and like 70 pounds, 9 ounces won. I think it was like 18 walleyes. It was blowing like hell out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty cool though. It was fun. But I'm curious because like Nick came and fished, and he had a crazy he had a weird day. I'll just put it.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
I felt bad for Nick. Because like also when you're a content creator, you sign up for a tournament, people know you're there, and you deal with that stuff. But I'm curious, say for example, every fish counts walleye tournaments were to come up. Is that something you'd be interested in like doing? Because I know you're not necessarily like a tournament guy, but is that something that kind of like piques your interest of like, that'd be fun to kind of go do? Or
yeah, like I don't know, the whole big fish thing is obviously like catching walleyes is sick, obviously. I think it is super cool format, obviously. It reminds me of like the old school head-to-heads. I remember watching those on Mille Lacs, being like, damn, 63 pounds of walleyes today. But there's something about like my favorite trips are the ones where I might go 2 days and not catch a fish and then catch 2 giants. So I feel like that is a little bit more, but I'm so like not geared towards tournament fishing where I don't know. I mean, it could just be a fun thing to go do. It's like, hey, we're just gonna go catch as many as we can today and see what the weight is. So I don't know. I'm a little bit torn. I haven't really thought much about it though, I guess.
Yeah, because I've never thought like, I don't know if you've ever had a thought of like, oh, I'm gonna go fish an NWT season or something like that. I don't know if that's ever even been on your radar.
Yeah, I keep saying like when I am ready to be done doing YouTube, I'm just gonna sign up for every walleye tournament and just get my ass handed to me a bunch, maybe do decent here and there. But I feel like because I travel all the same lakes, right? So I've traveled like every year, whatever the NWT circuit is, or these bigger tournament circuits is, like I've been to all the lakes. So I feel like by the time I'm like 50 years old, it's like, all right, now we're going to go get our asses handed to us now.
Now's the perfect time.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no interest in fishing tournaments right now, but I feel like for some reason I've always had this idea, like when I'm ready to be done doing YouTube, I'm just going to fish tournaments, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I
lose all of my money then.
Yeah. Everything you worked super hard for, just like piss it all down the drain real quick to end the career.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun.
But no, the little bit I saw the classic bass, the walleye thing on Mille Lacs, and I think that stuff's awesome. I mean, obviously, walleye fishing maybe in particular needs a facelift, right? In tournament fishing, maybe bass fishing does too. I'm just not as aware of it, but I think there's so much to do in that space that I'm glad someone's taking a swing at it.
Yeah, I mean, even us, dude, when we've done podcasts, and like I saw you kind of are doing more podcast stuff now too. Whenever we have walleye guys on, it's just like freaking boom. Like everyone's listening. And it's like, God, there's just a lot of walleye people that want to hear about walleyes. And I'm like, this makes sense why Tom's made walleye videos for 10 years.
Yeah, a bunch of weirdos. just want to fish for walleyes.
Yeah, well, they'd consider me a weirdo. I'm in walleye country and I just go bass fishing all the time. So who's the real weirdo, right?
Yeah, we get those comments all the time on YouTube. I'll catch a smallmouth and like, oh dang, it's smallmouth, and you get hundreds, a bunch of messages like, have some respect, man. Those classic ones. It's always someone like down south who doesn't have smallmouth like easily accessible or something. You're tossing back a 4.5 pounder or something.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, all right, man. Boots, you got anything else, or we can let Boley go? We kept him long enough.
Yeah, I think he's free.
Appreciate
all right, Tom.
it, guys.
Appreciate you swinging by. Walleye fishing season's here. You're about to have a bunch of friends up in the Northwoods. They're coming this weekend. You get to greet everybody. You gonna hand out candy bars and everything at the access?
They've already arrived, my friend. They've already arrived.
Perfect. All right. Well, you have a good Memorial weekend, man. Appreciate you swinging by, and yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see you maybe next time the boys will be back, or maybe we could just keep it where like every time Sobi or Pink asks you, you're just like, oh, dude, I'm busy. But then if I text you, you're like, yeah, I'm on. Yeah, I'll be there. They're like, why does Tom only come on when you're there?
Perfect.
All right, cool. So, all right, dude.
Appreciate it, guys. Keep killing it.
Appreciate you. You keep doing your thing. Thanks for swinging on by. All right, that was Tom Boley. Boots, you've been able to kind of hang out, be a little bit of a co-host tonight, tell some stories.
Yeah, I've kind of been the sponge today, just kind of absorbing everything, like learning new things about walleyes from Alan and Tom. Like I've never really been a walleye guy, but kind of grew up around it. But I've kind of learned a lot just kind of being around and listening and absorbing everything.
Yeah, I like I would say too, I mean, the last couple of years, especially seeing Tom and all his success with the walleye videos, and Nick and TJ and Brett McComas and all those guys doing that stuff. It's always been a thing in the back of my head the last few years of like, man, you need to like walleye fish a little bit more. You never do it. You never really tried. Like I just have always been turned off to it because of trolling and all that sort of stuff I want to cast. And now that it's such this casting game and stuff going on, and watching Minky and Charlie McGivern and guys I know from the bass side who do walleye now, just mash them. I'd be lying if I said when I drove home from Mille Lacs and like the next day thinking about it and all that, I wasn't like, you should go walleye fishing. Like, you should actually, you know what I mean? Like, you should go try it. And I'm sure it would go horribly, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just talking to the bass guys from Champs Tour last year at the championship at Green, the amount of walleyes they were filleting just sounded like so much fun. And it killed me not to go out there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've been thinking about it a little bit. If anybody's made it this far and cares that much about a podcast hosted by Bart and Boots, Sobi and Pink aren't here. And if you would like to see me, maybe I've thought about like, man, do I do some sort of series like you guys follow along me learning to walleye fish, and like, I don't know, maybe collab with like TJ or Nick or Tom on a couple or whatever, and just kind of start doing it. Like, is that something people be interested in? Is just like someone who, you know, does a bunch of other species, but then just goes into one not knowing anything. I don't know. There's just that I've had that thought lately of like, oh, maybe I need to mess with this a little bit more.
Yeah, just do a walleye 101 with a guy that is just brand new and fresh to it.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, we did a 2.5-hour podcast with two bass guys on a lot of walleyes. A lot of walleyes. So people who wanted walleye content, it's here. I would also say we hear all of you. I know that people want us to have some NWT guys like Dusty Minky, John Hoyer, Tom Wynn, Bill Shimoda, guys like that. We've heard it loud and clear. We want to have those guys on. Yeah, and I think that's all part of the future plan of Pass the Barb. Things are going great over here. We're having a lot of fun. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great Memorial weekend. Enjoy your time on the water. Summer is here. It's the best time of year. Spend it in a boat. Enjoy the warm months. We just dealt with winter and then an actual spring, like an actual spring where it was like warm, cold, all over the place. We just didn't get that much rain, but everybody enjoy this time. Enjoy the summer. It's a special time of year up north. And yeah, thank you for listening to another episode of Pass the Barb.